Tonight, it's been 24 hours about. It's been a little bit more than 24 hours. We are going to be reacting to all of the nonsense, I guess you could say, we have seen on the first 24 hours of Pride Month. That includes clips, tweets, just all the things we have seen. We're going to go through it. It's going to be very fun. I think that's rather self-explanatory. And so, yeah, let's have a great stream tonight, guys. Again, be sure to leave a like on the stream, and we will get started here. So, as you may have seen yourself, we have a lot to talk about, okay? And I swear, I think every Pride Month, it gets progressively worse, which should be self-explanatory, right? Slippery slope, it's real. But I'm sure you guys have seen the pride flag being flown at the Vatican. For our Catholic viewers, must not be happy with that. We've seen what the U.S. military has posted. We have seen a lot of things from the corporations, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to kind of warm up, kick off the night actually with something I saw from our own side, from the conservative side, and something I frankly see far too much, okay? Because, I mean, really, let's be realistic about this. As much as we do have to talk about the things that the opponent, the things that the enemy, right, has done and is doing and is saying, all the rhetoric out of that, let's also be honest and admit that without some type of effective response from the conservative side, Pride Month is going to continue to get crazier and crazier. They're going to come at your children harder. The propaganda out of the institutions is going to get worse. And let me just say that this is absolutely the wrong way to respond to it, okay? Now, this Instagram post comes from, I believe his name is Ian Hayworth, okay? Now, full disclosure, I've met this guy in real life. I think he's like a Daily Wire columnist or something. I've met him in real life. Cool guy, honest, real guy. He actually gave me some professional advice that I thought was quite helpful. But I'm sorry, business is business. We're just a businessman doing business. It's so true. Let's take a look at this. So Ian posts, and by the way, I know I'm singling him out here, but this is something that you see the conservative sort of mainstream post a lot when it comes to Pride Month and gay marriage. By the way, they do the same thing when it comes to like criminal justice reform, okay? And I thought we left this behind in 2020. Apparently, we're still doing it now, which is especially why, sorry, Ian, we got to single you out here. He says, here, let's play the video, but the caption is, to celebrate Pride Month, let's remember that Joe Biden opposed gay marriage, stopped gay people from serving in the military, and called homosexuals, quote unquote, security risks. Okay, and this is the big own on the libs. Okay, libs own, libs are wrecked. They're never going to recover from this. How will the liberals ever celebrate Pride Month now that conservatives are showing that actually liberals are the real conservatives? Okay, anyways, let's watch the clip and then we'll react. Okay. If we can get audio on it, that is.
Garden to talk about a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage.
You know, think about this. The world's going to Hades in a handbasket. We are desperately concerned about the circumstance relating to avian flu. We don't have enough vaccines. We don't have enough police officers. And we're going to debate the next 3 weeks, I'm told, gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act, where we've all voted, not where I voted and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman. What's the game going on here? And the president...
Wow. Joe Biden epically owned, guys. It's so over for them. And, the caption, too. Let's read it again, shall we? To celebrate Pride Month, let's remember that Joe Biden opposed gay marriage, stopped gay people from serving in the military, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so let me just say this. To Ian, to all the conservatives who think this is somehow an effective talking point, let me just say that showing the fact that Joe Biden used to be more conservative than the modern Republican Party is not an own. Okay, that is not an epic libs own moment. As a matter of fact, it's an L. Okay, posting this stuff is literally conservatives, Republicans posting their own L's online. And it's like, what are you even trying to prove by showing that, hey, Joe Biden used to be more conservative on the issue of gay marriage, and now he's moved drastically to the left on all LGBT issues? Yeah, what that proves actually It's not any type of own on the left or anything. As a matter of fact, that is a victory for the left. What that shows, I mean, the left should like celebrate videos like this, and trust me that they do, because what this shows is that the left has been so effective at winning the culture war that they are now able to have positions that are so progressive that they are completely unrecognizable from the Democratic Party of 10 to 15 years ago. Okay, that is a W for the left. That makes the left look good. And simultaneously, what it shows is that conservatives have so drastically lost the culture war that the opinions that now most of us are not allowed to have. I mean, trust me when I say this, opposing gay marriage personally has burned some bridges for me professionally. I will say that. And it's not just me, right? Bryson Gray, a lot of other just conservative figures who have taken a stand on the alphabet issues. Like, this is not even allowed to be a mainstream opinion largely in the conservative circles nowadays. Luckily, we seem to be reversing that tide, which is good to see, but still. And at the same time, right, the fact that Joe Biden used to, like, this used to be the mainstream liberal opinion, again, literally is an L for us. Like, that is literally blackpilling. Yet people like Ian get up here and think, wow, libs owned. Wow, we're so cool for this. It's like, it's ridiculous. Okay. I mean, it frankly is, and by the way, this clip is stupid, by the way. Let me just say that, because let's keep in mind what Joe Biden was actually saying in this. Okay. So he's basically trying to play the optics card where he's like, look, I oppose gay marriage. Look, I have signed into law the whole Marriage Act or whatever, but why do we need a constitutional amendment for this? Okay, context, by the way, who was calling for the constitutional amendment affirming marriage being between a man and a woman? Who was calling for that? If you listen to the context of the clip, it was the Republicans, which, by the way, we should have done. I mean, we should have got that done. If we did that, we would be, I don't know if we'd be entirely safe as a country right now, but we would be in a much better place. Okay, that's a fact. That is a fact of a matter. Should have got it done. Common Republican L. We can't get anything done. It's true. But notice how, if you actually listen to the context of the clip, and this is why posting this is so ridiculously stupid. I mean, it is just downright idiotic. Republicans were calling for the constitutional amendment. Joe Biden, even in this clip, was taking the more liberal opinion on gay marriage. Okay, of all the clips you could have posted, this is the one we're posting. I mean, really? Are we serious? Because this is still showing that, because what he's saying is, hey, I support this, but we don't need a constitutional amendment. That's what Joe Biden is saying. Whereas the Republicans were saying, let's do the constitutional amendment. Okay, so literally, even so, it's clear at the time that the Republicans, right, the conservatives were pushing for the more right-wing perspective. Obviously, Joe Biden was pushing for the more liberal perspective. He's saying, we don't need the constitutional amendment. Okay, so what this is still showing is that Republicans opposed gay marriage. Like, it's literally admitting that. This clip actually shows that the GOP was more conservative on the issue of gay marriage than Joe Biden was at the time. Okay, and so if the point of this clip is to show actually Democrats are the real homophobes because back in the day they used to oppose gay marriage. Well, if you literally listen to the context of this clip, Republicans used to oppose gay marriage more than the Democrats did. So what even is the point of this clip? This is like ridiculous. And the same thing really goes for the 94 crime bill, because that's where this whole strategy started, where we're like, oh, let's take issues where Joe Biden used to actually be based on, where Joe Biden actually used to be more conservative on, and use that against him. And it's like, dude, a bunch of Republicans voted for the 94 crime bill too. As you can see, which was a good thing, by the way. 94 crime bill was good. But in the same thing here, it's like, look at how homophobic and anti-gay marriage Joe Biden used to be. He's literally admitting in this clip that the Republicans were more right-wing on the issue. Like, what type of logic is this? Okay, it's like, I see what they're trying to get at here. I see what Ian is trying to get at here, but it's still wrong. Like, it's literally not even effective. Like, on multiple levels, this is literally just, and stuff like this is literally just conservatives posting their L's online. Because on one hand, what does it show? It shows that conservatives have lost the issue. It shows that libtards have won the culture war. That's number one. But on the other hand, even to the extent to which we're trying to out-woke the left, it doesn't work, because Joe Biden in this clip literally admits that the Republicans, the conservatives, used to be more anti-same-sex marriage than he was. So what are you even trying to prove? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Okay, it doesn't even make sense. It's just so true. I'm going to completely own the libs by adopting their ideology. Libs so owned. It's so true. I mean, the utter state of this stuff. So we'll move on to the next thing for now. But let us just say, again, Ian, I don't have personal problems with the guy, but this has to stop, okay? This type of argument, these types of arguments have to stop. You're not owning anyone. It's just so true. It's just so true. Actually, on that topic, let's just go because I think I have a second thing here, and we'll talk about this second. Hold on. Okay, and this is another Ian post. I just have to say, he keeps trying to do this. All right, I'm sorry, I'm singling you out, but really, he just keeps trying to do this. He keeps trying to do the gotcha thing with the same-sex marriage and the LGBT stuff, which literally is just making us look bad actually in the process. But you look at the second one here. Okay, you look at the second one here. And he posts, is there a reason why BP didn't? And by the way, okay, I'll be fair on this. He's not the only one that did this whole thing. Is there a reason why BP didn't use a rainbow for their Middle East branch? Talking about like the corporate virtue signaling, quote unquote, right? Every Pride Month, as we know, the corporations all change their PFPs to the rainbow flag and stuff like that. And so he goes through every single corporation. Again, these people think they're so sly. Like, they think they're so slick for doing this. No, actually, you're just making conservatives look bad, and it's true. And we'll explain that in a second. But it's like, is there a reason why BP didn't use a rainbow? Is there a reason why BMW? He goes through every single corporation. I mean, he really took the time to do this. Cisco, Mercedes, et cetera, et cetera. What is that? Bethesda, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, there was a pride flag in Wawa today. Okay, I went inside of Wawa. I wanted to get a drink. That was an L. That was an L. I'm sorry. Midwesterners, okay, Sheetz is better. I have to say, as a Southern, Sheetz is better, okay? And I bet Sheetz would never do that, okay? Sad. Wawa's really letting me down here. But anyways, okay, I see this all the time, right? It's like, why aren't the corporations changing their PFPs for the Middle East? And they do that as some type of, they think they're owning the corporations. They think they're owning the left. And at the same time, they think they're owning the Middle East. And the kind of logic I see from a lot of like the conservative mainstream on this is always like, well, see, bro, you always say that America is so oppressive, but at least corporations can push gay propaganda on your children. Are you allowed to do that in the Middle East? No, I don't think so. Libs own. So why don't you stand for the flag? Stand for the national anthem. Be a patriot. Be grateful, libtard. That's kind of the train of thinking you so often see. And again, on this topic, looking at this, all I can say is that this is an L for conservatives, okay? And it's L really for Christians, et cetera, because it's like, why doesn't BP, for instance, use a rainbow for their Middle East branch? Like, does anyone ask this question? Why doesn't BMW, Cisco, or any of these corporations do the same thing for Pride Month in the Middle East that they do in the Western world? And the answer is not some type of like victory for conservatives in America or whatever. It's actually an L, because the answer is that because people and societies in the Middle East care way more about morality, and they are way more willing to defend their sense of morality than we are in America and we are in the West, okay? And what it shows, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the Vatican especially too, what it shows is that the Muslim world is far more willing to defend their faith, culturally speaking, than the Christian world is, okay? And like, it's like, the truth is, if the Christian world were half as serious as the Muslim world about actually defending their morals and actually wanting to see a society where, Christian morals are upheld culturally and politically. Again, if we did about 25% to 50% of the extent to which the Muslim world defends their morals, we would have a country where you could viably raise children without worrying about them mutilating their genitals at the age of 7. I mean, it's true. But instead, we don't do that. Right. We just have a country and a culture that we've allowed to slip. We allowed, but then we cope so hard. Okay, this is literally a cope. I mean, this is physically a cope. Okay, we allow this to happen. And instead of saying, gee, the Middle East is doing something right, why are we allowing this to happen? Why have we let our culture slide to the point where this is a thing? Instead of doing that, what do? Right? Instead, we're like, see, look how free we are in the Western world. Look how tolerant we are as the Christian Western world. Haha, why isn't the Middle East doing that? I mean, are we serious, guys? Are we serious? Okay. What is the point of posting this stuff? All right. What is it saying? Yeah, all it says is that the Muslims are doing a better job than the Christians are. Okay, which is sad. It really is. I'm not an apologist for the Middle East or anything. Okay, I'm a Christian. All right, I consider myself a Christian nationalist. Okay, you guys know how I feel about that, but there is something to be said. I mean, credit has to be given where credit is due. At least they have a culture where desecrating their faith in front of their face is not acceptable. Okay. Am I necessarily saying to adopt every single law of the Middle Eastern countries? Not necessarily, but what I am saying is that why is it that in the Middle East, a predominantly Muslim world, this stuff is not acceptable? Okay, it's just not culturally acceptable. In some cases, it's against the law, obviously, but even when it's not, literally just the culture there is so hostile, and they do a good job. The culture there is so hostile to things like this that corporations wouldn't even think about doing that. Okay. And the question is, why does the Christian world, where we are Christian civilizations historically, I mean, obviously we can talk about the secularization and why this is, but just diagnosing the problem, it's a problem that this type of stuff is culturally acceptable in the Christian world. And the Muslim world, frankly, is proof that it doesn't have to be like that. Right? It doesn't have to be like that. It's like that because we suck. Okay. And we lose and we're terrible and we don't know what we're doing. And look, it's fine. We're figuring it out together. But the least we can do is not celebrate the fact that we literally are losing our own culture war. Okay. Seriously. I mean, stuff like this, it's just, and by the way, let me just say that overall, I think we're getting better on this issue. And actually, I'm making a video probably this week about why, you ever notice that I feel like the conservative mainstream on a lot of things slowly but surely is getting a lot better. Like Ian, he's still stuck in 2018, but I feel like I've seen a lot of I notice as Pride Month gets crazier, that's on one hand, that's true. But I also notice I feel like over the years, I'm seeing less and less like cringe from the conservative mainstream regarding Pride Month, right? I feel like I'm seeing a lot of like mainstream conservatives increasingly every single year have better and better takes on Pride Month and LGBT issues, which is good. I think we're slowly winning the battle. Okay, trust the plan. We are winning the culture war for our own movement. Okay. I want everyone to be white-pilled about that. We're going to make a video again talking about why that is and why you can slowly see like our ideas being adopted and infiltrating and winning, which is good. That's 100% a good thing. Okay. But seriously, with that being said, can we just kill? Okay. Can we like put to death this train of thinking, right? Can we just stop it? I mean, seriously, it's just sad. What are you even trying to prove with this? Okay. Very soon it's going to be Pride year. This is very true. Okay. This is very true. So yeah. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've adequately established what I think the conservative response to it is, which is that we just, we have to stop making this about, we're celebrating the real Pride Month. You guys are doing the corporate pandering. We're the, all this stuff. Okay. We understand this. We talk about this all the time. Let us get into the actual state of Pride Month. Okay. So I guess we'll start, why not? All right. Why not? We'll start at this infamous photo. Okay. It comes from the U.S. Marines. All right. It's Marine heads taken out, military heads in general. It's very sad. But anyways, I'm sure you guys have seen this by now. But, the U.S. Marines posts throughout June, the USMC takes pride, #pride, in recognizing and honoring the contributions of our LGBTQ service members. We remain committed to fostering an environment free from discrimination and defend the values of treating all equally with dignity and respect. Pride Month USMC. And take a look at this. They have gay bullets, okay? They have gay bullets. Oh gosh. I think I saw a tweet. I think it was from Jake Lloyd, who tweeted out like they're going to use the gay bullets to shoot at normal people. Very funny joke. Joking, by the way. Of course, we're kidding, joking. But that's basically what this is. I mean, really, let's be honest about this, okay? And this is something I believe for a while now. It's not just like one post from like the US Marines all of a sudden. I'm like, oh no, now I believe this, or now I'm turning on the military. Okay. This is really something we've talked about since 2021. But, something like this really has to be a reminder of that. And it's a serious question. And this is something I think a lot of conservatives are not really ready to have this conversation necessarily, but it's true, and we have to have it regardless. Why should we root for our own country? Or I shouldn't say our own country, because I don't even think the regime in power believes in a country or a nation. So I should really say, why should we root for our own government in war at this point? Okay. Maybe we should have been doing that a while back even, but like, really seriously, why should I support the foreign incursions of this regime on the world stage? Okay, the regime of gay rainbow colored bullets. Okay, as a Christian, as a conservative, you can call me unpatriotic. I'm sure this is going to be, this is somewhat of a controversial take, I guess you could say. But honest to God, why? I mean, give me the legitimate reason why I should root for this to be spread across the world. Why should I root for the gay rainbow bullet regime to spread its values across the world? I mean, that really is the truth. Okay. I mean, say what you will really about China or Russia or any other country around the world. But the way I really see it, we are in no position to talk about any other nation around the world when like this is what our regime stands for. And these are the values, these right here are the values that we are going to be advancing around the world. I mean, honest question, why should I as a Christian conservative support that? Why should I root for that? And I know a lot of neocons will be mad at that. I know that if liberals end up like seeing this or clip this, it ends up on Patriot Takes or whatever, something like that, right? They will definitely like mock us for this. But don't listen to what they say, okay? Don't listen to the unpatriotic label, okay? These people don't even believe in an American nation, and they're talking to us about patriotism. It's like, no. But honest question, if World War III broke out tomorrow, I mean, it would be a nuclear war, but let's just say like the hypothetical LARP of World War III, like we're all going to Taiwan and we're going to fight China, we're all going to Ukraine or something. It's like, can I honestly say that I would enlist or even like accept the draft if I'm being completely realistic with you? And it's like, I don't think I could say that I would. All right. I don't think I could say that I would support my military across, and obviously I respect the troops. Okay. I'm not one of those people who's just going to like, spit on the troops like this is Vietnam or something. We honor Memorial Day. We honor Veterans Day, but we especially honor the fact that, largely speaking, these people, it's very tragic, but these people are basically being thrown into the meat grinder of war for nothing, or not even for nothing, for values, frankly, that are evil. And frankly, most of these people don't support. And it's actually quite sad when you think about it. But, can I honestly say that if we went to war with, let's just say Russia, would I really, in good conscience, be willing to like pick up guns and fight for this right here? And honestly, you can disagree with me, but honestly, from my perspective, the answer is no. Okay. I don't think I could legitimately, in conscience, like fight for the values of this regime on the world stage or support them or want to defend them. Okay. I know that's kind of a hot take, but I don't think I would. And, you could say, well, it's not really about that, right? It's more about defense of your nation, because you can't see it like that. It's like, you don't have to, I don't think in order to be willing to fight a war or something, you have to agree with every aspect of the government or the regime in power, right? Because there's definitely something to be said about putting that aside and really understanding that wars are conflicts between nations, right? You're not so much fighting for the government or this ideology or that ideology. When it comes down to war, what it really is a battle of nations. You're fighting for your homeland. You're fighting for your people. You're fighting for your country, right? But at the same time, the regime in power, right? The government we are defending, and I understand that, right? I understand that fully. But the government we'd be defending, we can't even say that because they don't even believe in an American nation. They don't believe in America. They don't believe in an American people. And so it's like you can't even really take that angle to it when it comes to our military. Because, you can disagree ideologically with to some degree, within reasonable bounds, you can disagree ideologically with certain aspects of the government and still say, I will patriotically fight for this government in war. I understand that. Or I will patriotically, fight for my country, my nation in war. And that's what it's really about. For the Roman Empire or something, it wasn't that they had to agree with everything the emperor, said or did. It's like, no, I am a Roman. I'm fighting for Rome, the glory of Rome, the glory of this civilization. See, that's the thing. But the thing is, there's an understanding there. You see, that this is for the civilization, this is for the nation, this is for the people or the empire in their case. But when you have a regime in power that doesn't even believe in that, when you have a government that is, they literally don't believe in an American nation, they believe America is an idea, okay? They don't believe there's such a thing as an American people or an American culture or an American nation or an American homeland. They believe America is an idea, and the idea that they believe America is not even noble or virtuous. It's literally this. It's like, why would anyone, any like honest conservative, want to support this or stick up for this or go fight for this? If you are ready for that take, it's true. And I'm not saying to go like dishonor the troops or not celebrate Veterans Day or Memorial Day or not. Like, I'm not saying any of that. It's like, I still think we should support our soldiers in an honorable, respectful way. But I think we need to be honest and be able to discern that, like, the military as an institution is not moral. It's not on our side. It's corrupt. And quite frankly, I really don't think in good conscience that any of us should be supporting it, And it's not, people might say I'm being dramatic when I'm saying that. It's not about one post, okay? This is about a long-term, just everything we've been seeing from the military, okay? And if I'm being honest, World War III broke out, I would not fight for our country. I hate to. You think I want to be able to say that? It's not about cowardice. Okay, I'm a Christian. Like, death is not something that, like, I fear. It's not just, oh, I'm just scared to go fight a war. Like, no, there are many things that I think we all would collectively agree that we'd be willing to lay down our life for, and our faith obviously is first and foremost there. But can I genuinely say that this is something that I'd be willing to go and give up my life fighting for? Are you able to consciously say that? Because if the answer is no, then I don't think my take is all that unreasonable or unpatriotic or anything like that. It's like, no, I am not a patriot for the American regime. Like, I'm not. I'm actually actively unpatriotic and disloyal to that. Okay, I am a patriot for the American nation, for the American people, for the legacy of American civilization and what that represents. But I'm not a patriot for this government. In fact, I would argue that to be patriotic for this regime is to be unpatriotic to the American nation and to the American people, and that is absolutely true. And so it's very true. I think we got a super chat here. Osborne says, me and my homies don't hang out with the Alphabet Mafia. Shout out to my Odyssey House of Osborne, JK, unless sure. Thank you for the $5. Let's go. All right. It's so true, folks. It's so true. All right. Felice says he's returned from the farmlands. Let's go. Let's go. Good to see you. Good to see you here. Okay. All right. So there you go. There you have the U.S. military. All right. I think we've seen that one. The military is gay. All right. I'm sorry. It really is. By the way, let me just say, for anyone who's on the fence about joining the military, don't do it. Okay. That's my official advice to you. I get this question sometimes. I think a lot of people now understand it. At least right now, don't do it. And like, obviously I think I guess there is something to be said about like the infiltration of the institution too, but I think it would be more effective, honestly, to infiltrate because military serves the government, right? And so I think it's more effective, frankly, to infiltrate government and use that as a means to fix the military and fix what that stands for. But my official advice would be to fight for this. And there is something to be said about the infiltration aspect. I can't deny that, but to fight for this is I don't know. I don't know if I can endorse that. Okay. And it's your decision, and there are rationales on both sides, but it's just, Andrew says you missed my member super chat. I actually cannot see them on StreamYard, which is stupid. Is this your member super chat? Okay. I believe this is it. We are living through a time similar to ancient Israel when it was ruled by King Ahab and Jezebel. Evil leaders will turn a country into decay. It's so true. It's so true. It's true of ancient Israel. It's true of Sodom and Gomorrah, obviously. Rome, many such cases, every civilization. And that's what we see. And you notice sexual liberation is always coincides basically with the collapse of civilization. It really does. And I don't know if there's really one instance in history you can point to where sexual liberation didn't coincide with some type of civilizational collapse to some degree. Okay. And it's very true. It's very true. So yeah. Okay. All right. Next on the list, folks. All right. Next, we got to go to the Vatican. All right. And I think you guys have seen this. This is just disgraceful. And honestly, like this, if anything, okay, I'm not Catholic, by the way, full disclosure, but especially for like Catholic conservatives. But honestly, I think this is something that all of Christendom can really agree with on this. Stuff like this is like the perfect example of what I just said, of why our regime, this government, I mean, really is not worth defending if you are a Christian, especially. It's like the utter state of this. And so this is in the Vatican. This is the U.S. Embassy, if I'm not mistaken, in the Vatican City. Okay. And they tweet out, today is the start of Pride Month. The United States respects and promotes the equality and human dignity of all people, including the LGBTQIA plus community. You notice how I think the Marines only said LGBT. The embassy in the Vatican goes all the way to the QIA plus, which I think this is like queer, intersex, asexual, right? Pride, all inclusive, Pride 2022. If you read through how much detail they put into this, it's pretty obvious in my opinion. I don't know if every embassy did this for the record, so I don't know. This seems to be a shot directly at the Catholic Church. Like, if we're being honest, like, what is going on here? This is literally just trying to take a shot at the Catholic Church. It's an attack on the Pope. It's an attack on Christendom, et cetera, et cetera. And here you have it. Here you have it. Rainbow flags in the Vatican City. If you ever needed a little bit of, if you're ever on the fence about it, if you're ever on the fence of the globalist American empire, the GAE, that whole talking point about how what, our government and our regime stands for across the world is wicked, and the values we are spreading across the world are evil and wicked and frankly anti-Christian. Here it is right in front of your face. The embassy of the United States government is flying the pride flag in the middle of the Vatican City. Okay, the capital of the largest Christian church in the world, basically seen in many ways, especially since Constantinople is no longer around, as like, you could say something of like the Mecca of Christianity, right? The you know what I'm saying? And what does our government decide to do, right? They literally hate Christianity so much that they have so little respect for it. I mean, it's just right in front of your face. Here they are putting the pride flag in the middle of Vatican City, basically just throwing up a middle finger to Catholics and Christians all around the world. And, there you really have it. There you really have it. And you wonder why I say, this regime is corrupt. I cannot stand here and defend the globalists on the world stage. I do not support this. I do not support the American empire. I can't say I really would enlist or even accept the draft to go fight for the American empire on the world stage. This is why. This is why. And you don't even have to be Catholic to really understand this. I think if you're a Christian in general, even just like a conservative who has respect, some degree of moral respect for our civilization's Christian foundation, I mean, this really should be the moment of clarity. Really in terms of what side our government is on and what side you should be on and whether or not you should. Well, here it is right in front of your face. Okay. They're flying the flag of sin as a middle finger to the Pope right in the middle of Vatican City. That's our country, okay? I'm sorry, patriots. That is not China. That's not communist China. That's not some commie country doing this. No, that is the United States of America doing this, which you could argue in many ways has become a culturally communist country, and that's very true. But, really there it is. And I will say, I will kind of reiterate kind of a previous talking point here, which is kind of the fact that I think the Christian world could learn a little bit from the Muslim world, if we're being honest. because I noticed people pointed out, I think it's even in the comments and stuff like that too. Yeah, here it is. Bet you don't do this in Saudi Arabia. Right. And it's, it's a good question. Why would the United States not dare to do this in Saudi Arabia? Okay. And they won't do this because because again, what does it show? It shows that the Muslim world is far more willing to defend their values and their faith than the Christian world is. Okay. And that is not a W on our part showing that we're tolerant or whatever. No, like the Pope should punish the United States for this, if we're being totally honest. I mean, the Pope, I don't know what power the Pope even has in Vatican City. I'm not really a Catholic, okay? But I have seen Catholics say this, and so I therefore agree with it. What the Pope should do is follow in the suit of what a Middle Eastern country would do, follow in the suit of what Christians in general should follow in the suit of what Muslims would do on this topic, and expel our embassy from the Vatican City. Okay, like this has no place in the Vatican City, and it's like, that's what really should happen. And if Catholics, if you had a Pope that, I don't know, was a little bit more gung ho about this stuff, I guess you could say maybe that would be a possibility. But really, I mean, that is how we ought to respond to this, but we don't, right? My guess is that the Vatican won't even say anything officially about this. I hope they do. I hope they at least like verbally condemn this, and condemn the United States for it. But I don't know if they will. But, that's what we have. Okay, that's what we have. And it is very sad. It's very sad to witness. I feel bad for the Catholic world. We really do. Andrew M sends $5. Thank you very much. $5 Canadian, by the way. He says, Canada just passed a bill a couple months ago to ban all conversion therapy. To ban all conversion to ban all conversion therapy. Things are getting more degenerate here up north. Yeah, conversion therapy, that's illegal, but gender reassignment for like 5-year-olds, that's okay, right? Yeah, of course. The world really is going to heck. It's true. It's so true. So the utter state of this. Really, you're expected to be a patriot for this, by the way. Guys, we must defend American values around the world. Yeah, what are those American values, Mr. John Bolton? Oh, the pride flag at the Vatican. Hey. You're an outdated conservative. You see, I'm a neoconservative. To kind of paraphrase a very famous Irving Kristol quote, I'm a neoconservative. And what we believe, what we are advocating for, I believe this is the Kristol quote, is for a form of conservatism that is adequate to governing a 21st century democracy or 20th century democracy. Okay. And so, it's really your patriotic duty to defend American values around the world. And these are those American values, by the way. It's just sad. It really is. Because, I think every young conservative Zoomer male really does kind of, let's be honest, glorify the concept of empire. Like, there are honestly the truth about the Roman Empire is a little bit nuanced. I mean, you can point out how kind of degenerate it was in many aspects and why that's a big reason it fell. But let's be honest, when you were in middle school, and honestly still to this day, you cannot look at Rome, the glory of Rome, the might of Rome, and not look up to it to an extent, not admire it for its greatness to an extent. You cannot look at the Byzantine Empire, especially under Justinian, not look at that and be like, this is glory. Like every young man, honestly, let's be honest, does kind of romanticize the concept of imperialism. They really do, especially conservative young men. Okay. But not for this. Okay. Not like this. Okay. You have taken the natural male instinct to glorify the great concept of imperialism, which I'm not, let's be honest, in all reality, I'm not really for. I'm an American nationalist. I would consider myself that. But really, you could sell me maybe on the concept of American imperialism if it wasn't literally so gay. I mean, it's true. If you maybe I would fall for it. Maybe I would fall for it if you convinced me this is an American crusade. We're gonna but instead, we get this instead. We get pride flags in the Vatican City. It's all a joke, by the way. It's true. Ivanka Trump. We have Ivanka Trump in the chat. She says, "What's up, everyone?" Okay, we got this is the real Ivanka Trump. It is confirmed. You know, we have big people watching our streams. It's true. I can confirm this is the real Ivanka Trump, 100% watching our streams. Okay, it's so true. All right. Well, there's the pride flag of the Vatican. All right. Let's see. What else do we have up next? Here we go. What's this one? Which one is this? Oh, yeah, this is a very straightforward one. I really don't have much to say about this because it's pretty transparent in front of your face. Okay, but we had to include it in here. All right, so we have from Fatherly, which is an ironic name for this newspaper or whatever it is. Okay. And it says pride parades and pride festivals that follow are noisy and crowded. They're filled with sights that may be new to kids, like public nudity and kink. So is it appropriate to take your young kids to pride? That's the question of this article. Now, look at the title of this article. Yes, you should take your kids to a pride parade, but have these conversations first. No, there's no excuse. You should not take your kids to a pride parade. And listen, there's not much to say about this, quite frankly, other than that. It's just totally transparent. I mean, what else is there to say about this? Obviously, other than that, you know, when we say that the left, that this movement is grooming children, that these people want to normalize pedophilia, it's not a straw man. It's not hyperbole. It's not really trying to scare you or anything like that. It's literally just the factual truth. Okay. And as we talk about, that really is the end product of sexual liberation. Now, let me point out this one thing. So the premise usually, now the mainstream premise of society basically is, as of now, and a lot of conservatives will subscribe to the exact same thing. It's basically like, well, I think all this stuff is okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? That's what they usually say. There's nothing wrong with it. It's morally okay, but just keep it away from children. That is kind of the mainstream conservative take as of now. We are changing that, by the way. We're going to change it. But as of now, that's the mainstream conservative take. It seems to be like the mainstream American take in general. That's what most Americans say. Pride is okay. All this stuff is okay. The alphabet stuff is okay, but just keep it away from my children. Well, here's the problem with that logic. Okay, here's the problem. If it is morally okay, and again, all right, for YouTube's sake, I'm just going to say I'm not really taking a side on this. I'm just asking you a logical question, okay? And you can decide it for yourself. If there is nothing morally wrong with pride and all this stuff, then again, if it's okay, as a matter of fact, some people would go so far as say it is a good thing. If there is nothing wrong with it, then why is it a bad thing that it is shown to children? Okay? Just using your logic here. And that's the problem with your logic. Okay, and that's why the moment you start to say that, hey, all this stuff is okay, but just keep it away from children, that doesn't logically equate. Either it's good and it therefore should be shown to children, or it's not good, therefore it should not be shown to children. Most real conservatives and Christians would prefer to take the latter opinion. But seriously, ask yourself this honest question. If you are on the fence about this stuff, again, if you think it is okay, then why is it not okay to show to children? Okay, and the truth is that most people naturally still in their instincts realize that this type of stuff is not okay. Okay, that's what it is. They know in their heart of hearts that they don't really agree with it. They understand to an extent. Again, I'm not saying I agree. I'm analyzing the situation honestly. In their heart of hearts, they personally realize still that there's something, dare we say, incorrect about it all. Okay, but and that's kind of why they say keep it away from children. Okay, but because they are soft, because they are scared, because they are not really fully aware on this issue, they are not really able to say, they take the fence riding take where they're like, it's okay, I'm fine with what you do. Because they don't want to be confrontational, they don't want to ruffle feathers, so they're just like, I'm fine with what you do, even though deep down they're not, and their instincts know something greater than that, but they'll say out loud, I'm okay with it, but just keep it away from children. Now, in their heart of hearts, most people are actually just not okay with it, but they've conditioned themselves to kind of be okay with it, to at least verbally say they're okay with it and to tolerate it in real life. But again, the problem with this is that if you are establishing the premise that there's literally nothing wrong with public nudity or kink, then again, why is it not okay to show to children? Because even think of something like a rated R movie, right? Like, why is it bad to show a kid a rated R movie in theory? Well, it's because violence is bad, right? So here's the thing, right? We don't want to show a kid a rated R movie because it has, let's just say, because it's too violent. Well, violence is bad. And the kind of the impression there is that if a kid too young who doesn't really understand it and is unable to discern sees a very violent movie, the concern really is that they may go like not fully understand it and have an urge to commit violence themselves. Okay? Like that's usually what we say. It's like, well, with the shooters and stuff, it's like, hey, kids shouldn't play Call of Duty too young because they're not mature enough to really get it. And we don't want them to go do that stuff in real life. The premise is what? They shouldn't do that stuff in real life. That's the premise of it, right? You shouldn't go do the things in rated R movies in real life. Hence why when kids are too young, we should not show them those things. Well, again, that has to start with the premise that committing violence is bad. Okay? Now, on the other hand, if the alphabet stuff, if all this whatever, if public nudity and kink, etc., if there's nothing bad about it, it's not like violence where we don't want people doing that. No, actually, people can do all that all they want because there's nothing wrong with it. Again, this is just the logic. I'm just applying the logic here. If there's nothing wrong with it, then why is it not okay to show to children? If you don't want if now again, it makes sense if we're establishing the premise at least that it's like, well, we don't want kids to end up doing public nudity and kink and all this stuff, right? Then it makes sense. But if you're saying that public nudity and kink is okay, and there's literally nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with your kids ending up like that, if that's your logic, then why is it not okay to take a kid to a pride parade? And again, that's where the fence riding logic of saying, well, I'm okay so long as it's not shown to kids is wrong, and why it's not okay. Okay, again, either it's right or it's wrong. But if it's right, if it's okay, there really is no logical reason why it can't be shown to children. And if it's wrong, then all of it's wrong. And that's the reason why it can't be shown to children. The in the middle take doesn't make sense. And frankly, if you stick with the in the middle take, you are opening the door for stuff like this, like pretty blatantly openly. Like that's what happens. That's what happens because people begin to ask the question, as Fatherly is right now. Hey, if you're saying it's okay, then why is it not okay to show to children? Because you're saying it's morally fine. In fact, many of you might be saying it's morally good. So then if that's the case, then why is it bad to put morally acceptable, if not morally good values onto children? Aren't you doing children a service in like good virtue by taking your kids to a pride parade? And that's exactly what these people think. These people literally think that they're doing children a service by taking them to pride. And, you know, think what you will of that. Most people think that that's revolting, but most people at the same time fall short because at the same time, they're like, well, but it's okay, just not for kids. But why is it not okay for kids? Again, you have to apply this logic here. Okay. And if you truly take this to its logical end, you either end up at one of two places. Again, this is morally okay, therefore it can be shown to kids, or this is morally not okay, therefore it cannot be shown to kids. But it really is one or the other. All right. And if you're on the fence, you got to pick a side. Okay. Really, you got to pick a side. I think you guys know what side I'm on, but you know, you got to pick a side. Really, you do. Okay. Can't send super chats for some reason. Is there a tech issue? Well, that YouTube trying to mess with our stuff here. It's not good. Okay. What is this? June is the 6th month, right? Oh, I wonder why they chose the 6th month for Pride Month. Interesting optics there. And then, you know, a regular rainbow has how many colors? 7 colors, but the Pride flag has 6. I don't know if you guys realize that. Interesting optics. What did the left mean by this? What did the atheists mean by this? What did the alphabet people mean by this? Very interesting. Yo, we got Jackson. Jackson's in chat. Let's go. Jackson for 5. He says, what's up, bro? We got to stop worshiping credit cards and return to worshiping Jesus Christ. It's so true. It's so true. Okay, my epic buddy Jackson. By the way, guys, Jackson is the one that we did the road trip with. Okay, the road trip with to New York, which we will talk about later on stream. We'll talk about that. But shout out Jackson. Jackson's going to be starting his own YouTube channel soon, by the way. And so I will remind you guys to subscribe to that when the time comes. But all right. What else do we have next on this list? Actually, one thing I have on this list is actually one of Jackson's tweets, and so we will just go next to that. Okay, and this has to do with NASCAR. Okay, so we have, Jackson made a very good point on this, by the way. It's something I want to emphasize. But we have NASCAR, right? As we celebrate the LGBT plus, they did the normal thing, okay? As we celebrate the LGBT community, let us acknowledge the recent actions of NASCAR have not aligned. That recent actions have not aligned with NASCAR's mission to be a welcoming sport for all. I don't even know what they're talking about, but okay. We remain steadfast in our commitment to create a more inclusive environment in our workplaces, at the racetrack, and in the stands. It's, standard corporate pandering. Now, here's the thing about NASCAR, though, right? As Epic Giga Chad Jackson points out, what is the demographic of NASCAR viewers, right? Okay, it's a bunch of white redneck dudes. Okay, that's really what it is. Okay, again, predominantly males, married with an average of 42 years old, who own a home, etc., etc. Okay, employed full time, by the way. And you know this if you look at a NASCAR viewer. It's very obvious. NASCAR fans are overwhelmingly like conservative rednecks. I mean, that's what they are. Okay, which is to say, they're not exactly on board with the pride agenda. Okay, is your average NASCAR viewer, are your vast majority of, look at the reception that Donald Trump received at the Daytona 500 in 2020. Like, we all know this to be true. NASCAR viewers are overwhelmingly not on board with this stuff, okay? Which highlights a very important point that we need to point out. Okay, and this goes to the heart of another generic conservative talking point regarding Pride Month that is simply wrong. Which is that, conservatives are just pandering. Corporations are just pandering. Corporations are just virtue signaling for the money. Anything for money, anything for clicks. That is not true. That is not true at all. As we know, go woke, go broke. And the truth is that corporations, most of them, actually lose money by going woke, by embracing this type of stuff. Okay? And NASCAR is a perfect example of this. Who is NASCAR pandering to? Who is NASCAR virtue signaling to? They are alienating the vast majority of their audience. As a matter of fact, I have seen quite a few people actually go out and say, I'm not watching NASCAR anymore because of all this woke stuff. And at the same time, are we really to believe that, let's just say, liberal demographics are going to embrace NASCAR because of this stuff? They still think it's like racist, white, redneck trash, and that's not going to change if we're being realistic. And so the point is that what NASCAR is doing here is not for business. It's not what's best for business. It's not for profit. Okay, because again, conservatives always seem to have this notion that, like, well, here go these corporations virtue signaling again for the money. And it's like, no, they're not virtue signaling for the money or the profit, actually. Because they lose money doing this. Corporations lose a lot of money by going woke. Twitter has been operating at a loss for the last 2 years. Have their speech policies gotten better? No. The point is that corporate America is your enemy. That's what it is. Corporate America works for the left. The left controls corporate America, as broadly speaking, as an entity, right? And you have these people who are running corporate America who actively want to do the bidding of the social left. And they want to do and so their goal in this is not to like make money. Okay. Their goal in this is to serve the enemy, to work for the enemy. They are the enemy. They are the enemy, and they're literally willing to alienate their own viewers. Notice this. Corporate America is willing to alienate people, to lose money, to lose viewership and customers and patronage, etc., to push the agenda of the left. This is a very important distinction to make when we talk about the issue of woke corporations and corporate virtue signaling. Because Conservative Inc., we will call them, has this notion, again, that, like, basically this is what they think. corporate America is some type of value neutral, profit driven entity in all of this, right? And I think we understand why that is. I think we understand why they want you to think like that. See, they want you to, because they are bought out by corporate America, because the conservative mainstream is obsessed with, apologizing for the corporations, et cetera, et cetera. Koch brothers, we kind of know the story there. But because of that, they craft this narrative essentially where it's like, don't blame the corporation, blame the culture. These corporations, NASCAR, they're just virtue signaling for the money. They're just these value neutral, profit driven, free market actors. They're just doing what's best for business. Hey, who could blame them? That's the implication of basically just calling this virtue signaling, right? When in reality, again, it's important for conservatives to understand, no, it's not that corporate America is just trying to make money. Again, if they wanted to make the most money, they just stay out of this stuff. I mean, really, that's how they would do it, because NASCAR has nothing to gain and many things to lose by doing this. Is anyone really going to notice that NASCAR doesn't go gay? Of course not, right? And if anything, the vast majority of NASCAR viewers and conservatives like myself, by the way, because you want to talk about an untapped market, NASCAR would make the most money by being anti-woke or not being woke. Because obviously, number one, there's a bunch of conservatives who watch it. It's like 95, 97, I would say, percent of people who watch NASCAR are conservative leaning Americans. But on top of that, I feel it is just naturally, it's just like cars going around a track. It is something that appeals to conservative men. That's what it appeals to. And so I would actually make the case there are a lot of conservative men out there that are not into NASCAR. Maybe they're more into football. Maybe they're just not into sports, but actually would watch racing if NASCAR was known as being the anti-woke thing. Right? Because it naturally appeals to conservative men. It's not going to appeal to liberals. Do you think libtards get excited to watch cars? That's literally just inherently too masculine for them. Like NASCAR is never something that would appeal to liberal demographic groups. But if you want to talk about conservative men who maybe are not into it, so this is the point of this is all to say NASCAR would make the most money by staying neutral. If anything, I would argue NASCAR might make the most money by being openly conservative because, again, honestly, people like me who never grew up with NASCAR, I might get into it if it was that overtly conservative, and I think a lot of people would. But this is all to say that it's not about the money. It's not that they're virtue signaling or pandering for the money. Because, again, if they wanted to make money, they would stay neutral. If anything, they'd become conservative in the case of NASCAR. Instead, what do they want to do? They want to push the social agenda of our enemy. They are willing to sacrifice. They're willing to lose money to do that. Why? Why? Because they are the enemy. Because corporate America is the enemy. They are not just working for profit. No, they are working against you. They're working against you. They're working against your values. They are knowingly doing this. They are your enemy, and you need to see them as such. You need to see them as such. And again, why does the conservative mainstream not want to say this? Why does the conservative mainstream astroturf this issue through the lens of corporate pandering, or they're just virtue signaling for the money? Why? Because they're bought out by corporate America themselves, because they want you to be apologists for corporate America, because they want to continue to push the whole free market narrative where it's well, corporations are just, the lowbird economics, right? Because the truth is, if most conservatives out there, if we woke up and recognized, hey, corporate America is the enemy, I think the vast majority of people would start to question the whole free market dialectic style of thinking, because they'd start to say, well, if big tech is literally trying to destroy our movement in our country, why should we have to be neutral towards that? Why can't we use political power to go after that? If corporate America is destroying the soul of middle America and is destroying our values in our country and is destroying our children and destroying my ability to start a family and be with my children, why should I be in support of that? Why should we sit back and allow that to happen under the guise of free market economics? You see, the Koch brothers and the corporate conservatives and all these people, they understand that. They know that if conservatives started out, if your ordinary conservative, let's just say Southern Baptist American, who usually votes for low taxes and small government, if he started to think like this, he really would begin to question why he votes for all this free market stuff and supports these free markets, limited government talking points. He really would start to say, hey, why don't we do something about this? And so, in order to basically stop them from reaching that logical conclusion, what they have to do is outright lie to you about why corporations do this. You know, it's like, well, the corporations are not trying to destroy you, your kids, and your family. No, no, no. They're just trying to virtue signal for the money. It's just free market economics, bro. And your average conservative is like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, our culture just sucks, man. It can't possibly be that the corporations themselves are like against you and working against you. No, it must just be the free market, you know. Many such cases, by the way. And so it's a great point. I think Jackson reiterated that. It's so true, right? This has a far more sinister purpose than pandering. It's so true. It's literally the case. There you have it. Okay. Corporations are ideologues. They're not unbiased. It's so true. Again, look at like the Calvin Klein ad. Okay. I think that's a perfect example. You see this like Calvin Klein ad with like the pregnant, is it the pregnant dude? I guess it's just like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Whatever that thing was. Does that, let me just ask you, for the free market people, who does that appeal to? Does that appeal to most Americans? Huh? I mean, really, does it? Does that gain customers for Calvin Klein? Because the truth is, I mean, let's be honest about it. Most Americans look at that and they are revolted. That's just the truth. You can say what you want. You're not necessarily saying I agree with that. Okay, I'm just saying most Americans look at that and they're revolted. How does that sell more? How does grossing people out with your own products sell more products? And the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't. That is not good free market economics. Calvin Klein is not doing that for unbiased, value neutral, free market economics. They are doing that to push cultural propaganda of your enemies. Okay? And so can we stop with the free market understanding of the woke corporations? I mean, seriously. Seriously. Christopher says, it's just so true. It's so true. I mean, your super chat is 100% accurate, you know. Charlemagne nationalism. Are you a Charlemagne conservative? Are you a Charlemagne conservative? I'm a Charlemagne conservative myself. I have to say. You know. All right, anyways. I think this is good. Because I think we're slowly, by reacting to every single one of these like moments of cringe, we're really explaining a lot of things, going over a lot of takes that I think hopefully you guys can use as weapons for yourselves when it comes to debating Pride Month with other conservatives, with the libtards to an extent. It's so true. I think we're almost towards the end of what I plan to talk about, but we have lots more to talk about, by the way. What I had planned lined up at our list. And I think this is the last one right here. Yeah. So here we have it, folks. Sorry. I'm like having the hiccups right now. That's why I keep like, it's true. It's true. They're messy. They mess with the water. It's true. The utter state. Okay. But anyways, we have the Cato Institute, who is like just a libertarian think tank. I don't know if they're like objectivist. I don't know what type of libertarian they are. All I know is that they are very constant shills for libertarian economics. And here you go. You knew we had to include. Would it really be a VinceDao stream if we were not making fun of libertarians? I don't think it would be. So anyways, you have from the Cato Institute, happy #Pride Month. It's clear that the countries with the most freedom for gay people are those with a high degree of economic freedom. And you have the quote right here. Capitalism, not socialism, led to gay rights. Yeah. I'm not going to even say anything. There you have it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you libertarianism. There you go. There you go. There's libertarianism for you, okay? Fusionism was a mistake. Let me just say that, though. Okay, fusionism was a mistake. If you don't know what fusionism is, fusionism basically is, in many ways, you could argue modern conservatism. You see, in the 1960s, a guy by the name of William Buckley, okay, who you may recognize that name, that is the founder of the National Review, I believe also like the founder of the Young America's Foundation, okay, kind of seen as like the ideological father, him and Barry Goldwater, the ideological fathers of American conservatism. Great. I'm so glad that that's the conservatism we believe is like conservatism. But anyways, they come up with this concept called fusionism, which is essentially the fusing of like the social conservatives and the economic and political libertarians, right? And to them, it seemed like a natural alliance. Hey, if we unite the Christian social conservatives with the libertarians, we have the perfect political coalition. Doesn't that make so much sense? Well, from my perspective, it actually doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. And by the way, let us just point out that fusionism as an ideology was utterly destroyed in 1964. Okay. And so Barry Goldwater, you could say, was like the first model test of fusionism. All right. And what happened to Barry Goldwater in 1964? Yeah, he got destroyed. Okay. If you look up the 1964 electoral map, if you don't believe me, okay, he got destroyed. And the very concept of fusionism, and it's very Watergate, I'm just telling you, is one of the worst things that ever happened in American history, because Barry Goldwater was utterly and completely decimated. Okay. And his whole concept of fusionism, well, there you go. There you have the viability of this supposed coalition of liberty. We're going to bring back together the libertarians and the conservatives, and it's going to be epic. Yeah. You lost all but like 2 states, destroyed, swept in a landslide. And there you have Barry Goldwater. There you have fusionism. In 1968, Richard Nixon comes along. Now, Richard Nixon was not a perfect president. I don't agree with everything he stood for or whatever. But the truth is that what Nixon stood for was much more akin to what like we stand for as like national conservatives, as the populists, as the paleocons, truthfully, than Goldwaterism, than fusionism. I mean, that's the truth. Nixon was like a kind of like a social conservative, but he also understood like the use of power, right? He actually tried to basically use power to like manipulate the left and go after the left. And he understood this. Nixon understood this, you see. Okay. Again, I don't think Nixon was perfect, but let's point this out. Nixon was not a fusionist. Nixon was something more of an economic populist, you could say. Nixon understood political power. He was much more willing to use political power than the fusionists were. And he won what happens, not just once, but twice in an utter landslide. He was an extremely popular president. Okay, people forget this. He was, before Watergate, he was an extremely popular president. Look at the electoral margins. But then what happened? And by the way, he was not a McCarthyist, you could say. He was not like McCarthy levels of epic, but he did understand that the left was marching through the institutions and he was trying to stop it. Let's just say that. Well, what happens? Watergate happens. Okay, Watergate happens. And Nixon is discredited. Everything he basically stood for becomes discredited. And you could argue basically the only thing left in the Republican Party were the Goldwaterists, the fusionists, the conservatarians, right? The people who just a decade or so before got utterly destroyed, trashed, dragged through the mud by Lyndon Johnson. Like the pests that they are, like the termites, like the cockroaches that they are. They were the only thing left. They're the only thing in the Republican Party to survive Watergate, right? The only thing left was the fusionists, was Barry Goldwater, was these people. And so come 1980, you have Ronald Reagan. Okay, and Ronald Reagan and Goldwater were very close to each other. Obviously, Reagan made it on the political map by giving a speech for Goldwater in 1964. Some of you guys may know that. But because of the fact that Nixon was so heavily discredited, Reagan, who admittedly was a very charismatic guy, kind of as a president followed more so in the steps of Goldwater, more so in the steps of fusionism. And that is kind of the legacy he left behind, right? The National Review, the Young America's Foundation, the Buckleyites, the Goldwaterism. That's kind of the legacy ultimately in the end that Ronald Reagan left behind on conservatism. And because Reagan himself was a charismatic guy, because he was such a popular president, that's what we've been stuck with for the last 40 or so years, right? And even though Reagan himself, you could argue, was actually pretty good on the alphabet issues, him mainstreaming fusionism, I would argue, is the reason why we have to deal with stuff like this, and it's considered conservative, right? And so that's all to say that when you really think about it, because think about it like this. Had Nixon stayed in office, now Watergate never happens, he would have finished his term being remembered like a similar way in which Reagan is remembered, which is the guy who was so popular, the guy who won 2 elections in landslides, the epic president. And you could argue in many ways, Richard Nixon would set the tone for the Republican Party as opposed to Ronald Reagan and Barry Goldwater, right? And like I said, I don't think Nixon is necessarily perfect, but I would argue that Nixon was much more like us than Reagan and Goldwater, etc. And honestly, what probably would have happened next is inevitably, because he was so charismatic and he was so popular, Reagan would have eventually become the Republican president anyway. The difference is Reagan would have been following more, because Reagan is not the most ideological guy. He's an actor, right? He was an actor. But if Nixon kind of was the gold standard, ironic because he got rid of the gold standard, which was an L. But if Nixon became the gold standard for the GOP instead of Goldwater, then Reagan would have been a president that, honestly, I would argue would have been pretty based, okay? And hopefully he keeps taking it in the right direction. But just imagine that. Imagine an America in which Richard Nixon never faced Watergate. It's very sad. That was an unrelated tangent, but that is all to say that fusionism is a mistake, okay? There is actually no natural alliance between conservatism and libertarianism. If anything, I would argue that libertarianism is more foundationally liberal than it is conservative. And, I would argue that stuff like this is the reason why. Okay? And we know this. We talk about libertarianism all the time. We make fun of libertarians all the time. But I do have to say, I have to point out this reply to the tweet. It's a stereotypical example of just libertarian behavior. It's kind of funny, but it's honestly just kind of like pathetic and sad, I think, at the same time. So you have this guy, okay, he's like, capitalism described by Ayn Rand. Yeah, I'm so smart. I'm a follower of Ayn Rand, okay, is the recognition of individual rights, life, private property, and liberty for the pursuing of happiness. Okay, it's the pursuit of happiness, by the way. But, and he spelled it wrong. But since gay people are rational individuals, I think some would contest that statement. I'm not saying it's me. I'm just saying I think some people would contest that statement. But they have rights too. Forget about minorities. The smallest minority is the individual, in all caps. There are no collective rights under capitalism. Sorry, I cannot tolerate such contradiction. There are only individual rights. The objectivists, I have to say about them, it's really funny to watch them repeat talking points that I believed when I was 15 years old. I'm sure most of you guys probably believe when you were 15 years old too. But like this guy, he's got a beard. I mean, this is like a grown man. That's the thing. It's like, I feel like libertarianism is an ideology for children. Like, it is a fundamentally childish ideology when you really think about it. It's an immature ideology. It has I would argue, a very childish, naive sense of the world and naive understanding of human nature that is just wrong, that is not grounded in reality. And so hence it makes sense why every 15-year-old has to go through their Ayn Rand phase, through their libertarian objectivist phase. Trust me, I went through it. I'm sure you went through it as well. But I have to say, it is quite funny to watch grown men, okay, people with beards, dudes with beards, repeat the talking points that I believed when I was 15 years old. And my gosh, they think they're so smart. Like, this guy thinks he's so smart. Like, this guy literally thinks, by saying this, giving the whole Ayn Rand objectivist take, he thinks he is a stunning revolutionary of intellectualism. And it's like, man, if we could just red pill the whole world on individualism, man, we would save the world. Ayn Rand would, if every person just read Atlas by Ayn Rand everyone would be off okay, because the premise is like these people act like, you can tell by the way they type and the way they talk, they act like the whole life, liberty, and property thing. They act like the rest of the reason why the rest of the world does not subscribe to their stupid and naive and childish ideas is simply because they've never heard them before. And so notice how they basically write things as if like you've never heard this for the first time. Okay, trust me, I've heard this plenty of times, and it's just stupid. I mean, frankly, it is. It's just wrong. It's just a incredibly simplistic, childish, naive way of looking of things. Trust me, I've heard these arguments many times. I used to subscribe to these arguments when I was a literal child. Okay, but again, they think they're so smart for saying this. They think that, like, you can tell by the way they talk again, they think that they are giving a take here that is like revolutionary. Okay, that is just absolutely stunning, And if everyone just heard this, like the world would just stop killing itself. Yeah. Overgrown children is really what libertarians and objectivists are. I mean, it's just so true. It's an ideology for children, but you have grown men who think they are so smart because they read my theory, and we believe in Ayn Rand. Yeah. The utter state of this, guys, okay? It's just, I mean, look at this guy. Look at this. You look at the way, it's like he thinks he's so smart, He literally thinks he's a genius for saying this. No, dude, we've heard this a million times. It's just naive. It's just wrong. And you're too old. You're too old for this. Really, you are. There's an age where this is acceptable. It's about 14 years old. Stretching it, well, let's be graceful. We'll say about 17 is the oldest it should go, It's like wearing diapers or whatever. It's like, what's the oldest age to wear a diaper? Like 2 years old, 3 years old, right? At 4 years old, it becomes a little weird. At like 5 and beyond, it's like, what the heck is wrong with you? Right? Same thing with like wetting the bed. I don't know. What's the age where is like acceptable? I don't know, 7 or 8. Once you go past like 10 years old, it's like, that's exactly what libertarianism is and objectivism is. Objectivism especially. Because, man, it is a teenage ideology. That's what it really is. It's like at 14 years old, 15, 16, 17, it's about reasonable. 18 and beyond, you're still believing that? You're going to college and you still are reading Ayn Rand? Something's off there. I don't know. You might need to grow up a little bit. It's true. Andrew M. Andrew, I don't know if I can read that super chat on YouTube, but I agree. Thank you for the $5. Okay, let's say I do agree. I do agree with it. Okay, it's so true. Libertarianism is believing in Santa. I mean, it's literally the case. It's literally the case. So. Libertarians deny the reality of the fallen state of human nature. It's so true. It's so true. So anyways, guys, that wraps up what I had in terms of Pride Month. It does not wrap up the stream because we have plenty more to talk about. Okay, trust me. But that wraps up Pride Month. I have 2 things to talk about. Okay, the first thing I have to talk about now that we're done with Pride is the Blake Masters endorsement. This was big news. I didn't title it in the stream, but I figured we got to talk about this. It's big numbers, big news coming today. And then we have to talk about the epic road trip. Okay, the road trip, the New York City event with APU. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let me see if I can find a tweet regarding it. Let's just see here. By the way, guys, this is a very interesting Twitter account. There's a random janitor at APU. I have to say, he's been giving a lot of good takes. Okay, I am the chairman of APU, by the way, as we all know. This is not my Twitter account. I am banned from Twitter. But there is a very cool janitor who looks kind of like me, who gives a lot of great takes. He has a very good Twitter account, and so be sure to go follow him. Since I am not on Twitter, it's the best we can do. Be sure to go follow the janitor of APU. It's true. But anyways, you have today, it finally happened, folks. Okay, we'll just use this one because why not? Donald Trump has endorsed Blake Masters for Senate in Arizona, and this comes off the heels of like J.D. Vance, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I have to. So what this basically, and this is good. I think we expected this to happen. Blake Masters is one of the best, definitely, candidates we have running for Senate in 2022, and I'd argue just one of the best in general. And it's good to see that Trump is doing this. Mark Brnovich is a grifting neocon. Blake Masters is based. He gets it. He's a populist, right? He understands this. He's had some great takes on, he's all about, family issues, regulating contraception and birth control and porn and abortion. He's a solid candidate. I think we all know Blake Masters. Now, what I do have to say, though, what I do want to say on this topic is that it is actually indeed, let me reaffirm, it is actually indeed a good thing that Blake Masters is going to inevitably, let's be honest, probably just be elected to the Senate. And it's a good thing that J.D. Vance, et cetera, all of these people, okay? And what this signifies, it really is the long march of our ideas. It's like the long march of America first into the halls of power. Because let me just say, the Overton window really is shifting on the right. And I'm going to probably be making a video on this. Like I said, actually, I said this earlier in the stream too. I'm going to be making a video on this. But you look at kind of where we are. We are not there yet. We're not where we want to be, obviously, in terms of the Republican Party. But you can see that we're making progress. And that's very good to see, right? People like J.D. Vance and Blake Masters going to the Senate, that's good progress. People like Anthony Sabatini and, actually, by the way, we should point out, like, the MAGA caucus, like people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar, the people already in Congress who are already with Trump, they've just been getting better and better, so that's good, right, on the issues. By the way, we have people like Ted Budd, et cetera, going to the Senate. But even on the congressional level, people like... Sabatini, a lot of other great candidates, they're getting into power. But also you look at kind of the culture of the American right too. Look at Charlie Kirk, right? So in 2019, which I can't really blame the guy for because I kind of believe the same nonsense in 2019. Granted, I was in high school, but still, right? In 2019, Charlie Kirk was talking about like stapling green cards to every diploma, and he was just cringe on immigration and social issues. Well, now he's parroting a lot of Tucker Carlson's talking points. He, to my understanding, right, supports an immigration moratorium. He understands that critical race theory is anti-white. He's had a lot of good takes on things like the sexual revolution, etc. Like he really is ideologically coming over to our side. It's like here you have one of, you could argue, the most like influential conservative figures in like conservative culture in America. Well, he's now basically on our side, more or less. The president of, and he obviously is the president of Turning Point, which is one of the biggest conservative organizations in America, right? You have the president of the Heritage Foundation, right? The new president. The last one was terrible. He was shilling for like Afghanistan and all that stuff. Well, the new president who comes in, he's solid, right? He's pretty solid on the issues. We'll do a video. We'll mention him in the video a little bit later that we do this week again. But you just notice overall, right, that like we are winning. If there's any reason you needed to be white pilled, take a look at the fact that people like J.D. Vance and Blake Masters are getting the Trump endorsement, right? Take a look at the fact at all the like solid congressional candidates we have going that are actually going to win and stuff like that, right? Carrie Lake, by the way, she's going to be governor soon, right? People like that. Take a look at the fact that the conservative institutions, the think tanks, et cetera, like Domino's, they're slowly starting to come over to like the America First ideological side. Charlie Kirk's a great example. The guy at Heritage is a good example, right? There are still many where we have work to be done, but again, it's a process. What is it? It's a long march, right? I want people to understand this, okay? I want people to really view this as a good thing. because I'm so sick of people like taking, and honestly, I don't care who I piss off with this. Okay, there are probably some. By the way, I think I have trained my community well. I think I have trained my community to understand a long-term, long march strategic approach to getting our ideas to go into the mainstream. Okay, let me just say, I do kind of, and I hope that's true. But you have people who, I don't know, for the sake of being contrarian, they'll come out and say things like, well, Blake, you know what? It doesn't matter that Blake Masters is like 90% of what I want a candidate to be, even if I don't agree with everybody. He's basically where we need to be, right? And we want to keep pushing over time, but he's the start of what we want to be. It's like, well, but he's funded by Peter Thiel. He's a shill for Peter Thiel. Therefore, I will not support Blake Masters. I will not support JD Vance. I will not support Joe Ken or whoever. Like, I literally hope these people lose. Like, screw these people. It's like, dude, really? Like, it's like, I understand, I understand that, like, all of these people, like, there's no perfect candidate necessarily. I understand that. We're not at that point yet necessarily, right? But just like the political immaturity, honestly, of like not being able to celebrate the fact that increasingly the Overton window of people we are getting into power and what we are getting in the conservative culture, et cetera, is moving to the right. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't understand it at all. It's like, and by the way, I don't even think there's like logic to any of this. Okay, because you'll have like some of these like based paleocons. Okay, they'll literally get out here and completely shill for Elon Musk. Okay. Elon Musk buys Twitter. These people all spurged out. They went crazy. And by the way, I think it's a good thing that Elon Musk did that. I think it's a great thing. I think it's like a civilizationally defining moment if it ends up working out in our favor. Like, I'm not, and I've had criticisms of the guy, obviously, but I came out and I was the first one to come out and say it. It's a good thing. Everything I said about transhumanism, I still believe, but it's definitely a good thing this is happening. I hope that we get the best of this. Okay. So I'm not anti-Elon buying Twitter, but you had these people come out and they totally like just shilled so hard for Elon Musk. Like, Elon, let's go, Elon bros. But then it's like, okay. But then at the same time, you have Peter Thiel, right? Peter Thiel, who is like, you could say, besides Donald Trump, Peter Thiel of like billionaires is probably the guy who's like the most ideologically aligned with us, right? And he's gotten behind a lot of people like Blake Masters, like used to work for Thiel or something, right? He's used to be like the operations officers of like Thiel Capital. You see where he stands with the issues. JD Vance is a friend of Thiel, a lot. And Thiel, by the way, like was supportive of Trump in 2016, to my understanding, right? Like, he is sort of like this conservative populist. Now, do I agree with everything that Peter Thiel stands for, believes? Not necessarily, I would say, but like, I agree. But like, I think we should understand, of billionaires, Peter Thiel is definitely someone who I think should be recognized as a utility, right? Like Peter Thiel, and especially if we're going to say that Elon Musk, who is basically a liberal, basically like a moderate liberal, or maybe you could say he's center right, you can make that argument. If we're going to make the argument that Elon Musk can be a utility to the America First right, then I don't understand why the same logic doesn't not also apply to Peter Thiel. It's like, you have Peter Thiel. Here's a guy who is the closest thing that we have to like a conservative George Soros, right? The closest thing we have. I'm not saying, again, he's like perfect. Like, yeah, he's a billionaire. And he's someone who seems to be, of all the billionaires out there, seems to be the most receptive politically to our causes. I don't understand the logic of not taking what we can get on that front. I mean, really. It's like, no, Blake Masters is just a Peter Thiel puppet. I don't know if that's entirely true, but even to the extent to which, like, you could say he is, what is inherently bad about that? Like, honest question. Because the truth, like, we have to have a truly conservative understanding of like how to build this movement. And the truth is, in order to build a serious political movement, by the way, we're conservatives. Like, we believe in hierarchy. We believe in elites. We just believe in good, responsible elites, right? Like, we're not leftists. We're not against the concept of billionaires. We want the billionaires to be paternalistic towards their country. We want them to be on our side. We want them to care for their country, care for the American people. Like, that's what a conservative believes, right? Leftists are against hierarchy. So they just believe billionaires shouldn't exist. Conservatives, what we want are like paternalistic billionaires. We want responsible elites. We want elites who are conservative and care about their country. Well, you have Peter Thiel, who I don't agree with him on everything, but you have Peter Thiel. Here's a guy who's like objectively, probably besides Donald Trump, obviously, the most receptive billionaire there is out there to our causes. And it's kind of shown that he's willing to like support people who are on our side. And what do we do? We like wage war against Peter Thiel. We like oppose every single thing that Peter Thiel does. Oh, Blake Masters and JD Vance are propped up by Thiel. Therefore, it's bad. It's like you have these are like the two most right-wing Senate candidates we have in America by far. The most conservative, the most populist, the most America first. It's objectively a good thing for the Overton window and for the long march of our ideas that these people are going to end up in power. And you have people who have such a brain-dead comprehending of strategy that they're like, well, this billionaire who's actually trying to help us got on our side, and therefore I'm against that because I'm based. What exactly is based? Oh, but at the same time, by the way, Elon Musk, oh, but he's going to liberate my Twitter account. Therefore, I'm behind Elon Musk, but I'm not. But Peter Thiel, no, screw Blake Masters, screw JD Vance. Like, what is the logic here? Like, it literally doesn't make sense. Okay. And so I know what people are going to say to this. Okay. I know what the AF people and stuff are going to say. They're just going to say like, whoa, well, APU is clearly taking money from Peter Thiel. It's like, no, we're not, by the way. Okay, let me be 100% clear. As of this moment, APU and none of its affiliates have taken a single dollar from Peter Thiel. We've never even talked to Peter Thiel, okay? So I have no, like, vested interest in this other than just saying, why don't we just be mature and not, like, 5 years old about, like, the understanding of, like, how to legitimize and get these ideas through the mainstream? And, like, the way I see it, if Peter Thiel is willing to get behind like the populist Republican candidates, what is so bad about that? Like seriously, what is so bad about that? You know? And all I'm saying here, okay, it's not because I have any like loyalty to Peter Thiel. I don't. I've literally never even like spoken to anyone who even like works for the guy, right? But from like my perspective, I don't understand what exactly is so productive about like thinking every like Peter Thiel candidate out there is like terrible, you know? No, Blake Masters is actually a shill. Okay, never mind the fact that he's like legitimizing our ideas and is going to enact our ideas into power. But actually, because he's tied to Peter Thiel, therefore it's bad. It's like, what is the strat? I don't understand. If that's like, what is the strategy of this movement? But then at the same time, right? Elon Musk, who's literally like a self-proclaimed like moderate liberal or something, he's based. But Peter Thiel, the like populist conservative, no. It doesn't make sense. But that's all to say. I will celebrate Blake Masters becoming the next senator of Arizona. I will celebrate JD Vance becoming the next senator of Ohio. And you know, quite frankly, I'm very like tired of like having to appease the people who like just don't share my understanding of strategy. I mean, if I'm being completely honest. And so honestly, I don't care who gets mad at that. Okay, let me just say that. All right. I mean, especially, you know, considering we don't have like the epic, like I would love for like there to be the epic Christian nationalist billionaire out there, but it doesn't exist. Okay. And so to the extent to which someone like Peter Thiel or Elon Musk or whoever else can be useful to our side, what is the utility in bashing that? I don't understand it. You know, it is objectively going to be a good thing when Blake Masters and JD Vance make it to the Senate. And I'm tired of pretending like it's not. And I'm tired of pretending like there's any rationale as to why it's not a good thing. Seriously. People will get mad. Thiel is a mixed bag, just like Elon, true. But people who oppose Masters simply because of Thiel are kind of dumb. No, they're very dumb. And like when Peter Thiel gets behind a good candidate, what is bad about that? Would you prefer that the candidate not have the backing of a billionaire who can help them? You know, it's so true. Thiel is much better than Elon, in my opinion, and I don't dislike Elon. I mean, that's literally the case, but it's just, you know, whatever. The most base senators next year will likely lead to ousting Mitch as GOP leader. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know about that. I hope that's true. But that might honestly take a little bit of time. I don't know about that, but I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. And thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'm for using any resource offered, providing we don't have to compromise our values to do it. I agree with this. I 100% agree with that. And that really should be, I think, our approach to politics. You know. So there you go. You have Peter, and you know, people. I love this community. You know why? Because we get it. Because we understand it. We understand that it's a long march. You see, you know, as a matter of fact, I think there's a very good tweet about this. It was actually my wallpaper for a little bit, but the tweet is like the dissident right, or like the conservative right, is full of people right now who would have willingly been kamikaze pilots in 1945, right? But what we need right now is not that. What we need right now is like smart, strategic people who are going to be willing to put their heads down and play the game. And like, that's so true. That's so true. Like this attitude that like, I guess you could call it the kamikaze attitude, right? You call it like the kamikaze approach towards like America First conservatism, or towards like, you know, paleo conservatism, whatever, national conservatism. I mean, yeah, it sometimes is necessary, and I think there needs to be a place for that. We definitely have to have people who are willing to like push the envelope. Don't get me wrong, but I would argue the far more effective way to push the envelope is to like understand that this is a long march. You know, and understand that, hey, actually, it is even if like we don't agree with them on everything, it is a good thing when someone who embraces 90% of our ideas is elected to office. I mean, that's literally a good thing. And there's like legitimately, there's no angle, there's no rationale as to why that's not a good thing. Do we want them to agree with 100% of our ideas? Yes, of course. But we have to understand that, again, this is a long march, right? What is this? This is a process, okay? And really, when you look at where we are on the right, we're actually winning that process. Like I said, Charlie Kirk, great example of why we're winning. The New Heritage president, great example of why we're winning. J.D. Vance, Blake Masters, you know, the push of people, the push to the right of people like Marjorie and Paul Gosar and stuff like that, Doug Mastriano, Carrie Lake. These are all examples of the fact that we're winning the long game, right? But you see, if we're winning the long game, then what is the need to be such a kamikaze about all this? See, that's the thing. We don't need to be kamikazes, because we're not the Japanese. We are the Americans. Okay. What we're doing right now is island hopping, because you can see we're winning, right? The tides of neoconservatism are turning back. The tides of paleoconservatism of America First are winning. We're island hopping, right? Right now we're at about like Guadalcanal. Okay. So we're not at Tokyo yet, right? But what are we doing? We're getting there. Okay. But that's all to say, what is the need to do the kamikaze thing when we're not on the retreat? We're on the offensive. We're winning. Okay. All it's going to take is for people to be strategic, to get to really just trust the plan. Okay. And to continue to enact the plan. All right. And I'm saying all that to say that this is where I stand. Okay. Like, I'm going to be 100% clear that's where I stand. Okay. Even like Joe Kent. I don't agree with Joe Kent's whole like take on like the inclusive populism thing. I thought that was like very poor framing. I didn't really agree with that. But honestly, Joe Kent is going to be one of the better Congress people in office. Will he be the best? I don't know. Not necessarily. We'll have to see. But am I really going to say, honestly, okay, I don't care what anyone thinks of this, by the way. Am I really going to say, as compared to we have an impeachment Republican versus Joe Kent, who subscribes to like 85 to 90% of our ideas, am I really going to say that I think it's a long-term bad thing for our movement and our cause if Joe Kent is elected to Congress in November? Like, can I really, honest to God, in my mature brain, say that? I literally criticized him, by the way, for the framing of inclusive populism. Like, I literally said I disagree with that. But this is a guy who's going to literally support like every single policy that I want to and eventually see into office. And on rhetoric, he's good on 90% of it, minus that. Am I really going to stand here and say, this guy should not be elected to office? We should literally like We should literally like make sure that the impeachment Republican Herrera Butler like is reelected, because that's based. You know, stand on it where you want, but I'm really tired of like pretending like I think that's right, or pretending like I think that's okay. Like I don't like, that's honestly where I stand on it, you know, and that's where I'm like, honestly, I really have to apologize for this to an extent, because even like JD Vance, if I'm being honest, that's always how I felt about him. Okay. And this is really just Vince being more honest about where he's honestly stood this whole time, because, and if I'm being real, like, I always thought, like, I always kind of trusted JD Vance, if I'm being honest. Like, I like now people seem to get it about him, but for a while it's like he's a grifter, this or that. For a while, because I was like, for me, really, it was always like, what exactly does JD have to gain by being based? Like, if anything, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it always did seem to me like Vance did have a legitimate ideological change, but because, you know, the majority of the paleocon base thought he was grifting, it's like, I'm sorry, I went along with it, which I kind of regret doing. I do regret doing, but you know, that's really all to say that this truly is where this is where I stand on our candidates. This is where I stand on our long march. Have I had plenty of disagreements with, you know, people like, I guess, like Charlie Kirk in the past? Or I guess, does my current self disagree a lot with like past Charlie Kirk? Of course. But current Charlie Kirk also disagrees with a lot of past Charlie Kirk. But I legitimately think it's a good thing for the Overton window that someone like Charlie Kirk has embraced our ideas. Like, explain to me on what level that could possibly be a bad thing. Why is it a bad thing? The only reason you could think that's a bad thing is because you don't get the right to be edgy anymore, right? Because if a mainstream figure like Charlie Kirk embraces our ideas, then our ideas are no longer edgy. Our ideas are no longer cool. Well, to me, my goal is not for our ideas to always be edgy and cool. I want to see us win, right? I want our ideas to become mainstream. My goal is for the American right to adopt our ideas. Like, that's what I want to see, right? And if that means that I don't get the right to be like contrarian or cool or on the fringe or whatever anymore, that is what it is. If anything, I see that as a good thing, right? But you have this take from like so many people that, like, someone like actually Charlie's ideological transformation is not a good thing, because number one, he's grifting, which honestly I don't think makes a lot of sense, if I'm being real. Like, I don't really believe that in my heart. Like, I don't, because really, from my perspective, it's like, what does Charlie Kirk actually have to gain by like embracing our ideas? Like, what does he personally have to gain from that? If you ask me, it seems like he has more to gain by actually just embracing the establishment. Because if you'll notice, he's on like less Fox shows now. The majority of the Turning Point donors and stuff are more like libertarian, hence why the Turning Point slogans and stuff are all like big government sucks. Like, if anything, I think to an extent, and you could make the argument, I guess, that Charlie understands that this is where the right is headed and he wants to be ahead of that. But at the same time, I would also argue recognizing that this is where the American right is headed requires some degree of understanding of like our ideas. And so even then, it's like, if he understands that this is the winning team, I think part of that would have to be him understanding that we are correct, and hence he would be on our. You see what I'm saying? But even if he's grifting or not, like, honestly, who cares? Like, how can we genuinely sit up here and say that when Charlie Kirk says that CRT is anti-white, or calls for an immigration moratorium, or calls out the sexual revolution, or whatever, how can anyone honestly sit up here and say that that's a bad thing? Well, actually, that's bad because Charlie Kirk is still a loser. What are we, freaking 12? Okay. I want our movement to be successful. Okay, that's what I want. More than anything else. More than my personal fame, more than APU as an organization, which that's kind of the goal of APU, right? But the goal is for us to win. In order for us to win, we have to infiltrate and take over halls of power. In order to make it to the top, we have to climb ladder rungs, steps along the way. In order to climb these steps along the way, it's going to take allies, right? And so that means people who we agree with on 85% or more of issues to, embrace them and work with them. It's going to take those steps on the ladder. It's going to take mainstream people who we may have disagreed with in the past coming over to our side. Like, that's a victory. Like, how do people not, like Charlie Kirk, the guy who was talking about stapling a green card to diploma? I would argue that is one of like the biggest cultural victories for our movement over the past few years, that Charlie Kirk is like now basically on our side. Like, that is a victory. That is not something to like make fun of or whatever. Like, that is unironically one of the biggest victories, and it's proof that we are winning. And it really should be seen as something of like a vindication of us. But instead, we still want to be like cool or edgy. So it's like, no, actually, Charlie, JD, all these people, no, we're the only ones that can be right. I don't know. I don't understand it. Okay. I don't understand it. Well, let it be said. This is again, this is where I stand on it. Okay. And you know what? People can get mad at that. I'm sure I have lost subscribers, maybe a few. I think most of us get it, because honestly, I think there's a lot of paleocons out there who are just like tired of the immaturity. You know, they're just tired of like the burning of bridges that don't make a lot of logical sense, right? You know what I mean? And so honestly, I think this is how most of us actually feel. And if I have to be the first one to come out and say, yeah, strategy is good. Yeah, like when people who are mainstream embrace our ideas, that's a good thing. And we should not reject that. We should embrace that. We should celebrate that. You know, we should extend with open arms the invitation to work with us and to caucus with us and, you know, one struggle, right? You know what I mean? It's just true. It's just true, okay? So Romans 5:8 says people are so used to being black-pilled that they don't want anything other than a paranoid, depressed person. No, it's true. Like they want to be schizos, like screaming out the wall the whole time. You know, that's what it is. But whatever. Okay. You know, let's just say, okay, let's just look at it this way. Let's just see, like 10 years from now, what's going to get us farther? Literally just like throwing crap at the wall, or like building a coalition, like building something. You tell me. Let's just see. You know, let's just have a competition. You know, I mean, first of all, like a lot of these like populist people we're behind, they're gonna win. Okay, and that's the truth. And people from all sides are gonna get mad at that. Okay, and we understand that. Let's see what they do with power, right? Let's see what long term, if the country is to be rescued, let's see what long term ends up rescuing it. All right. So it is what it is. It really is what it is. So, you know, there you have it. I mean, has anything I've been saying unreasonable? I mean, is it really? I honestly think most people agree with it. Most honest people agree with it. And you know, maybe if we can just rescue our own movement from, pardon my language, just the retardation of just, you know, being literally just being schizophrenic and like actually saying, hey, we're going to coalition build, we're going to be strategic, we're going to celebrate when the Overton window moves in our favor, then maybe we'd have something, right? Maybe we'll have something. Surfing Cowboy, thank you for the $5, by the way. Thanks for the $5. But okay. Anyways, guys. Anyways. With that being said, we have to talk a little. I have to tell this story. Okay, I have to tell this story. Let's just have fun. We gotta add to the Vince style lore. Okay, we have to add to the lore of the New York road trip. Okay, so obviously over the weekend, let me see if I can put like the event on the screen or something. I think that would be good. That would be a good move. That would be a good little backdrop. You know. Okay. So as you know, as many of you guys know, some of you guys might have been there. I don't know if we have people from the chat who were there, but you know, we'll put the group picture up because why not? What a solid group of guys. What a solid group of guys. One of the best, truly. But anyways, over the weekend, we had the New York Populist Summit. Okay, and we had Curtis Sliwa, who was like the headline speaker. Most of you guys know him as the dude with the hat who ran for mayor. So there's him. We have Mike Crispy, who's primarying out Chris Smith, who is a massive rhino, let us say, up in New Jersey. Monster Z, Brian Fox, he's running for city council. Gavin Wax, who's a Chad, very good friend of ours, president of the New York Young Republicans Club. He actually spoke at CPAC Hungary, like the week before, which I will say, as critical as I am of CPAC sometimes, I have to say, doing an event in Hungary, with Viktor Orban as the headliner during the same time the World Economic Forum was happening in Switzerland, that was based. Okay, that was based, I have to say. But anyways, Gavin spoke at CPAC Hungary. Great guy, great friend of ours. It's Stefano Forte. He's a Chad. He's running for a state senate up in Queens. And we did it in this building, by the way. This building is the building where God Bless America was written. A lot of history to this building. Many famous people have walked the halls of this building, and it's true. That is the New York Young Republicans clubhouse. But anyways, that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is we had an event on Saturday with APU, okay? Now, obviously, actually, so this is Jackson right here, who is my friend. He's probably like my best friend here in Florida. And I'm actually moving in with him. He's gonna be like my new like apartment roommate very soon. And so we're probably doing a lot of, he wants to start making content too. Okay. He's an epic Southern Chad. He's a true Dixie boy. But anyways, we obviously being in Florida, we went to we're gonna fly there together, right? But anyways, it was like Friday morning. All right. The flight at 7 a.m. out of Orlando. Okay. And so we were there a little bit late. All right. Let's just tell the story here. We're there a little bit late. And Jackson's boarding pass would not, he was trying to get like the mobile boarding pass. And keep in mind, it's Memorial Day weekend. We're already running late. He can't get his boarding pass. Right? Like he checked in, like he just can't get it. Like the boarding pass is not working. Now we can go to a kiosk and print it out, but we're like running so late. We don't have time for that. Okay. We barely have time to make it. And so, long story short, we missed our flight. We missed our flight because his boarding pass the boarding pass incident. You know, the people always say that like I'm the problem with technology. Okay, so for once, hey, my mobile boarding pass was working. It was his. Okay, it's not always Vince's fault that the technology doesn't work. Okay. Anyways, we go. This is like 7 a.m. Okay, we go to the help desk, and just expecting, hey, they'll reschedule us on the next flight. Well, funny story about that. So we go to the help desk trying to reschedule the flight. And they're like, there's no flights. Every single flight to New York City, both to JFK and to what's the other, LaGuardia Airport, they're all booked. Every single one of them. For the whole day. Because it's Memorial Day. So it's basically travel weekend. Every single flight is full. And we're like, oh, shoot. Okay. But I would not be stopped. Okay. I really, it was never in my brain that we were not going to make it. Okay. And so I turned to Jackson in that moment while they're literally like, let me check one more time. And I think the flights aren't, maybe we can get you on one flight at night. I literally turned to Jackson. I was like, Jackson, hear me out. And I said, what if we freaking drove to New York? Okay. I did it in like the impulsive college kid manner too, which was based. I was like, Jackson, what if we just drove to New York, bro? And he's like, let's do it. So We drive back to so keep in mind, this is like a 16-hour drive. We have one day to do this. We literally have one day to do this because it's like the event's on Saturday. This is Friday. Like there's no stopping. It's going to be 16 hours straight. And it ended up being like 17 or 18 actually. It was literally like the whole freaking day. And so yeah, we drove to New York. Okay? It's true. We drove to New York. Now, basically nonstop. Like we stopped at a Sheetz. Sheetz is better than Wawa, by the way, along the way, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, the moral of the story is this. We had a fantastic time. Okay. Now, I just have to say this. Like, I think overall, we are both better men because of this experience. Why? Because it was like the road trip with the boys. Okay. And like few people see, I noticed there's a very explicit difference in reaction that you got from like guys or girls. Because I like posted on Snapchat and we had to like call our parents and tell them, hey, you know, we're going to be driving instead. Just want to let you know in case we like end up dead or something, right? I noticed a very specific difference in reaction where every like woman, without exception, every single woman was like, oh my gosh, that sucks. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Are you really driving to New York? What the heck? Like, that's terrible. And every single guy, basically, without fail, was like, yo, that actually sounds kind of fun. And it's so true. It's so true. And I literally told a few like female friends of ours, I was like, you know, you women, you just don't understand it. Like, you just don't understand the cultural and like just personal utility to some like fraternal bonding on a long road, okay, with the boys playing the Smokey and the Bandit theme song. Like, it was based, like, it was epic. It was a fun time. We got to see we got to see so much of America. You know, we literally got to see basically from like Central Florida to New York State. We got to see like a good chunk of America. We got to drive 1,000 miles. I mean, it's so true. Like, it was an amazing experience. I would not trade it for anything else. But the woman, and I was literally like, you know, this is how like the male and female brain operate. It's like women just they just don't have the attention span for it, right? It has to, like, you can think of how women like to vacation too, right? They want to see like the nice city and the flashy stuff, and they just want to get there. And it's like, you know, they just don't have the attention span to understand, to comprehend why it is fun to take a long road trip across America, to literally just stare at nothing but like trees and forests and like the kind of like Southern style of like, you know, how they have like the power lines and it looks like Dixie, but then when you like kind of cross the line, it becomes like the Northeast, right? When you basically cross like the middle of Virginia, it becomes the Northeast. Like, only dudes can understand. I feel like, I mean, I know some women are going to be like, hey, that's actually fun. I'm just saying it's a general trend. Okay. When we talk about aggregate trends, it is just something that only men can understand. And it's just literally the case that like I would argue more than the event itself, more than the APU event itself, which was very focused on nationalism and anti-globalism, the globalists indeed do fear the long road trip with the boys, okay? Because that's where ideas happen. That's where male fraternal bonding happens, you know, and that's where you get to see a lot of the country, you know. The libtards don't want you to see it. That's why they want you to live in cities and not own a car, you know. That's why they want the gas tax. That's why they, et cetera, because they don't want you to be able to appreciate the natural beauty, among other reasons, of this country. You know, that's why they purposely jack up the gas prices. It's so true. It's literally so true. Okay. It's literally so true. Jackson, it's so true. Misty woman simply does not understand. Misty does not understand this. It's literally the case. It's literally the case. Okay. Literally need bros to road trip with. It's so true. It's so true. Like this, it should be on the white boy summer checklist or whatever, is a road trip with the boys, right? I don't know if that's on the checklist, but if not, it needs to be. It needs to be like at least a 10-hour road trip. Okay. 3 hours to like the beach. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. It needs to be at least like, it doesn't have to be 16 like ours in a day. Okay. We will admit that was a little extreme. It was out of necessity. Okay. But the road trips with the boys, they must be done. They must be done. Okay. And I think there's something to be said about, I think in general, our society lacks impulse control for a lot of reasons, the internet, etc. Like, we need everything to happen like that, right? And we have low patience, we have low attention spans. It's not a good thing and like John Doyle has given this take, but like for a political movement trying to execute a long march through the institutions, this quick dopamine response is not a good thing. Well, you know what helps train that is like long trips on the open road. Like, it's true. Okay. Like, I would argue there is actually political utility into forcing men to road trip and do stuff like that. Why? Because it's like delayed gratification, obviously. Like, taking 16 hours in a car to get to New York, that's like the definition of delayed gratification. Whereas compared to like a 2-3 hour flight, no. Okay. And the road trip, truly, and understanding how big the country is and how big the world is, truly, it helps. It really does. It really does help that sense of impulse control. And it truly does. I mean, it really does. Drew Steiner says, last summer I drove 20 hours to DC. That's base. That's epic. Andrew M says, man, I really want to leave the city now. It's so true. It's so true. Like, I was very tired earlier this week. Now I kind of want to do it again, if I'm being honest. If I'm to be totally honest, I'm like so down to do it again. Okay. Like, that was fun. That was fun. All right. Is it smart to put 2,000 miles on my own car every like week? No, but it was fun. It was really fun. Okay. It's so true. It's so true. Taking the train is also based. I will concede this as well. It is. We cannot counter signal the good old train. I saw a little Dark Age edit on not architecture, on American Rail, on like American transportation, and it kind of train pilled me. It was pretty cool. Next road trip, we're going up the Mississippi to Wyoming or something. No, real. So true. All right, we have a bot in chat. Get out of here. Block user. Naked HD, where fun girls, fun fire here. Girls want everyone, even you. Yeah, you know what you are? You're blocked now. Get out of here. Vince's dream is becoming a truck driver, no automation. Okay, I'm gonna be unironically, if I had to work a blue collar job, I would be a truck driver. It's true. Like, I literally was thinking about that today too. I was literally like, if I hypothetically was a blue collar person, what job would I pick? And I was like, it would easily be a truck driver, because like I love driving. Now it's probably less fun to drive a truck, admittedly, than it is to drive like a car. Like, I drive a car, obviously, but like, you probably get used to it. I'd have to imagine it's fun. It really has to be fun, because I literally go driving for fun. Like, that's something I will do. Like, I will just drive in a circle or drive like up and down an interstate and come back, or just explore new places. I've seen almost every like small town within like a 25 mile radius of me, just through like just exploring, driving. It's fun. It's inherently right wing. It's true. But like, yeah, it's true. If I had to be a blue collar person, I would literally be a truck driver. Truck driving is inherently right wing. Real. So real. Vince just wanted to give out of context feel. Don't bust my don't bust my motives here, okay? So, as much as I like gas guzzling pickup trucks, fuel efficient cars are definitely helpful during these times. As long as it's not an electric car, we have to take what we can get. But I'm more of like a muscle car guy myself. Like, I would much rather drive like a Mustang or a Challenger than a truck, but I would be down to drive it. I probably will drive a truck one day, if I'm being honest. Because when we do like the rural America thing, when we get our little ranch and like freaking, raise a bunch of kids on there, it's like, you got to drive a truck. Like, it's just practical, but I don't know. In my early 20s, we probably will be in muscle car mode, and then I'll settle down. I'll settle down with a pickup truck. It's true. Already predicting the arc of my life there. If the destination is New York, where's the gratification? The gratification is seeing is the APU event. Okay, that's what the gratification is. It's true. Times Square was a set. I mean, I've been there before, but like, my gosh, really being there again, I'm just like, how do people enjoy this? It's so congested, it's so crowded. But you know, I really have to say, being in New York was probably like my least favorite part of the whole time. Like, it's just like dirty. It's really weird. I feel like New York almost has this filter. Like, you know how like there's a camera filter, and I swear, maybe it's just me, but I swear everything in New York is like a shade darker. Like, and I feel like that's just like pollution or smog, or maybe it's just my head or it's whatever. But like, will swear that the second you get into New York City, I feel like everything gets a slight shade darker because things just have to be like that dirty or something. I don't know what it is. Like the trees are like a tint less green. You know what I mean? The buildings are darker. The lighting is like darker. It's literally a toxic city. It has to be. It seriously has to be. Just make sure an Indian woman doesn't crash into your dream car. No, real. So true. So true. So, also the people are ruder. Also true. You know, we're at like this pizza place in Manhattan, okay? And I feel like I keep talking like it's my first time in New York. Like I've been there multiple times before, but I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of just reminded of all this stuff because like I've lived in like North Central Florida the past year almost. I've gotten kind of used to how people are, and even in LA, people are far more laid back than New York. Okay, but like we're in this pizza place. And I swear to you, like the freaking dude at the cashiers or whatever, they're like, "Hey, come and order. Hey, what do you want? Hey," like, and I'm just like, "What the hell? What the heck's your problem, dude?" Okay, and it's so funny, like, because they're so incredibly rude to like their own customers. But the great irony of it is they have a tip jar. They have a tip jar on the counter, and I'm just like, "Who the heck is gonna tip?" Like who would? And there's money in there too, which is hilarious. But it's like, who the heck is ever going to tip a person who's like just treating you like that? Like, hey, like literally like snapping at you, like, hey, order. But then it's like, oh, please tip us. No, screw you. Like you're not. And I tend to be a pretty generous person when it comes to tipping. Okay. No, you're not getting a tip from me. Like just acting like that. Just the utter state of people in New York. It's just. When we were in Times Square, I accidentally stepped on a guy's shoe. Like I stepped on his heel because it was so freaking crowded. And it's funny, like he didn't even look back. Okay. He didn't look back. I said sorry to him, and he had a look on his face like almost surprised that I said sorry. And it's because like people are literally just conditioned to people being such jerks to everyone that like they're surprised when you do some token of like being relatively a nice person. The utter state of New York. It's a horrible place. Horrible place. Horrible people. Some of the worst. Many are saying this. Bring back meaning to tips. So I always think tips should have meaning, And it's like, if you're going to be a rude server, then you shouldn't get a tip, I think that's part of like, it's part of the point of it, So next trip should be an Appalachian cabin vibe or something. Who's all down? Yeah, Jackson's been talking adamantly about going to the mountains. Might be the next one. We got to go to West Virginia, get a cabin, New York people have sticks where somewhere sticks shouldn't be. It's so true. It's literally the case. But yeah, I'll petition John. We do road trip with the boys. We'll be reasonable. Let's say it has to be over 7 hours, preferably over 10, preferably over 15. But it's real. It has to be added to the list. It has to be added to the list. Okay. And Misty says she's down. Hey, it's a boys' road trip. Misty's just gonna complain the whole time. It's true. She says she's down. Okay, context on Misty, guys. Misty, when I said that there were women who were like just didn't understand the road trip, she was one of them. Okay, she's one of them. All right, and no, we're not. Okay, first of all, it's a boys' trip. But then secondly, we're not going to listen to you complain the whole time about how long the car ride is, Misty. It's she says she's down. She says she made fun of us. She made fun of us. She criticized us. And now she says she's down because we have effectively created the propaganda to where it looks fun. No. You have to buy in at the tip. You have to buy in at the top. It's true. It's so true. Life is a highway. So true. So true. This was a repeat song on the playlist. That has to be in addition to the checklist too. Life is a highway must be played at least once. What are some other road trip songs? It's White Boy Summer, so I guess Highway to the Danger Zone. I mean, honestly, that's a fun song to drive through too, but it's a symbol of white culture. You have to do that. What are some other driving songs? I mean, we did like the Smokey and the Bandit song, but that was kind of appropriate to us because we were in like a legitimate hurry. I don't know if that's always the case, but why not? Highwayman by Johnny Cash. There's another one. I guess you got to do On the Road Again. I mean, that's kind of a cliche song, but it's still a bass song. Do that. That's 5. Country Roads, definitely. What are other necessary road trip songs? What are other like connoisseur road trip songs? I don't know. I think that's good. I think that's fairly comprehensive, unless we want to go all night about that. But Top Gun nationalism, real. Driving my life away. True. Misty says she has the best road trip song. It's playlist. It's probably a bunch of chick music. California. No, we were not. No. But yeah. Saw the new Top Gun, very epic. Okay, don't spoil it. All right, I gotta see it. All right. I'm probably going to see it on Saturday or something. I don't know. The plan, I don't know if it's going to happen, but the plan as of right now is to see it as at a drive-in theater. Okay. That's the plan. It's kind of the plan I had. We'll see if it works out. Okay. But that would be based. That's you just watch one of the few last authentically American movies at a drive-in theater. That would actually be kind of epic. But yes, I will see it. I must see it. I've not seen a lot of recent movies. I will see this one. You cannot go on the road trip if you cannot pull out. So, repeat after me. So true. Literally the case. Many such cases. It's real. BTS spoke on the White House on Asian hate. Cringe. Yeah, very cringe. I did see that. Common K-pop fan L, I have to say, because there are conservative K-pop fans out there. Kangmin Lee, I'm looking at you, buddy. I'm looking at you. Okay. Does Kangmin Lee actually like K-pop? I swear I remember him saying he does. All right. You know, Kangmin is a good friend of mine. Okay, the tribe, we have to stick together, but I feel like my more white taste in music is kind of more based. Okay, if we're being real. But common L for K-pop fans. It's like, you know, you have on one hand you have like Leonard Skinner, okay, making music about Ron DeSantis. You have a bunch of like country music stars hanging out with Trump and whatnot, you know, Kid Rock. Okay. And then on the other hand, and then people will say like, that's just cliche. That's just cliche conservative music. You know, just because you're conservative doesn't mean you have to listen to rock and country all the time. Oh yeah. Well, then you're K-pop boy. You're coping because you're K-pop boy band and you're Animu heads. What are they doing? They're at the White House. Okay. They're hanging out with Biden. Okay. Cope and seethe harder, K-pop heads. Vince is an honorary white boy for real. No, true. All my friends are white. It's so true. I don't have a single Asian friend. I'm not joking about that. It's true. It's true. Vince, what is your opinion on the Florida Gators? What is your early season prediction? Rough schedule. I have to say that. It's really going to come down to injuries, I think, this season, because Florida has a very I think the offense is good, but look how thin the roster is, really. So I'm gonna make a somewhat bold prediction, I guess. I think Utah week 1. I'm calling I don't even know if it constitutes an upset, but Florida wins there. Kentucky week. I'll say, I'll be optimistic. I'll say 8-4. That is a little it could literally be 5-7. I'll say 8-4 season. Lose to A&M, Tennessee, at Tennessee. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, A&M, Tennessee. Who else? I'm trying to remember who else is on the schedule. Will Florida beat LSU? It's at home. I'll give them that. Oh, Georgia, that's going to be an L. And then I'll just say there's a 4th loss somewhere in there. I don't know if it's going to be Kentucky or Utah or Florida State or LSU, but I'll add I'll say 8-4. I'll say 8-4. But I think overall, considering what they were working with, I think it won't be such a bad season, if I'm being real. You know what I mean? Random question, Vince. Should conservatives kneel during the national anthem to protest the GAE? No, because we need to understand that I don't think the GAE represents that flag, you know? We should kneel for the pride flag. We should kneel for things like that. We should turn our backs to that. But the American flag still belongs to us. The Star Spangled Banner still belongs to us. We cannot let them take that, in my opinion. So... I can't be racist. I'm half bean. It's so true. It's so true. How many of you guys... I'm not getting into it right now. Never mind. Union Dixie sucks. Southern Dixie will always be better. It's so true. Union Dixie is legitimately one of the cringiest songs ever made. And it's cringier too. It's cringier still that you ever notice that liberal kids sometimes they want to copy the right-wing Zoomer obsession with things like military music and our aesthetics and stuff like that, and traditional old aesthetics, right? But they do it in a very Reddit tier way, you know, and so because they want to feel something. They want to feel something that is inherently manly and masculine, but they can't do it, and so they'll cope by listening to Union Dixie, and they're like, "Oh, way down south of the land of traitors, rattlesnakes and alligators." It's and they're such losers the way they do it, and they actually think it's such a good song, and it's no, you're just cringe. You're trying to LARP in the way right-wingers LARP, but you're not even good at it because you're just a Redditor and you're lame. And it's so true. It's so true. Okay. Okay, people want me to go. Okay. I remember a few streams ago. I don't know why this never made it. I don't know if this ever made it on the out of context account, but it was one of the funny. We were. I literally was talking about how I would be willing to adopt a kid. Okay, I plan to have many biological children of myself, for myself, but I wouldn't mind adopting a kid or two, right? Especially out of maybe a woman who was going to have an abortion, but we talk her out of it and we adopt it. I'd totally be down to do something like that, right? But I was saying, I was if I adopted a black son, who could ever call me racist after that? I mean, it's so true. It's we could do remember the Matt Gaetz thing with his Cuban adopt. I could do that. I could be what? How could I be using these crime statistics for malicious intent? Look at my black son. Okay, imagine that. Actually, there's a very appropriate Family Guy thing that very much fits this. Okay, it's so over. It's so over for the libtards when I have my adopted black son. Okay, Like they fear this. Okay, they fear this. It's so true. They fear me and my black son. All right, let me see. Where's Family Guy? My black son. This is gonna be me. This is literally gonna be me. Here it is.
Oh, man, now I can't even watch TV. What the hell am I going to do all day? It's all right. It's okay. I don't need TV. I'll just make my own sitcom in my head, and I'll give it an upbeat 80s sitcom theme.
This is gonna be me.
This time around, I'm staying at home, and things are gonna get better.
If you are ready for this.
Settling in, loving my wife, but then I got that letter. My black son. My black son.
So true.
Now each day my
So
heart is
true.
getting bigger. Don't even remember sleeping with that lady, but I did.
So
My
not
black
true,
son,
by the way.
He's coming to stay. My black son. He's making each day the best that he can. Also, he's a ninja.
Real libs owned yet again. They fear this. They fear Vince Dow and his black son. It's real. It's so true. It's so true. Oh man. My black son, he's coming to stay. You sure? It's like I'm so not racist. Like I'm literally like one of the least racist people you ever meet, and like everyone who knows me like fully understands this. Okay, it's so true. Everyone can vouch for it. People who know me in real life can truly vouch for this, and so can my black son. Okay, it's so true. It's so true. So, you know. Like, oh yeah, okay. So someone says Bubba Dow. This is unironically true. What did Bubba do in Forrest Gump? He was a shrimper. Okay? We're in the shrimp boat. What do most Vietnamese Americans who live in the state of Louisiana also do? Shrimping. Why? Because it comes from the homeland. Tropical, bayou, delta, Mekong Delta, Louisiana bayou, same kind of thing. All right? We truly are one as a race, okay? They will try to divide us. They will try to divide me from my black son. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, okay? It's real. It's real. So stupid. Okay. In all honesty, I would be open to adopting a kid. And if the kid is black, the kid is black. But I feel like the black son thing is such a see, liberals fear this. Liberals fear, you know, just us being able to actually, what am I talking about? It's not a joke. It's really not a joke. And I'm being serious. Like I would be open to adopting a kid. Like I'm not even joking about that, you know. But the way we frame it is funny. It is real. Okay. They're trying to turn my black son gay. It's so true. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They are not going to do it. We won't let it happen. Okay? So. My adopted black son is not going to end up like Christian Walker. Okay, he's going to be a Chad. He's going to end up like, he's going to be like the Mark Robinson. Okay. See, everyone would probably think, right? Like, of all my children, of my 3 sons, of my 3 daughters, and my adopted black son, everyone would think, well, it makes sense. Like the firstborn son is going to be like the heir to his throne, right? It's going to be like Vince Dow Jr. He's going to be like the next great like political figure or something. He's going to follow in his father's footsteps. And it's going to be like a plot twist. It's not going to be the firstborn son. It's not going to be the second or third. No, it's going to be my adopted black son, okay? My adopted black son is going to take over APU. He's gonna carry on my legacy, okay? And he's gonna put all of my biological kids to shame. It's so true. It's so true. All right, it's real. It's real. He's gonna end up like Herschel Walker. It's so true. He's gonna be Mark Robinson. He's gonna be It's real. It's real. It's gonna happen. All right. I will be a proud father to my adopted black son. So true. Yes, I will homeschool. I will homeschool my adopted black son, as I will homeschool all of my children. It's real. So true. What about Baljeet and Vinci? This is a joke. No, listen. No. Okay, now we're going too far. Now we're going too far. Okay. Shank can deal with those. Okay, he can deal with those. It's real. So true. Oh, goodness. But, let's see what else is going on. Everyone's just making jokes about my black son. We're not joking. We're not joking, okay? My black son. It's so true. It's real. It's real, okay? Can you imagine like the day I like pass down the throne and everyone's to my son. It's gonna be a proud moment to my son. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, it must be his biological kid, must be like a half Asian kid or whatever. No. It's my adopted black son. Everyone's gonna be like, and I'll be like, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's my adopted black son. I'm so proud of him. It's just so true. No, it's just when your actual kids are. What's wrong with the clip? We're foreshadowing what's literally going to happen. Okay. Yes. When my black son, 40 years from now, is elected president of the United States, he's going to look at this and be like, he's going to be thankful that his adopted father, like planned this out for him. It's true. I literally laid the groundwork for my black son's ascent to power. Okay. And that's not a joke. It's not a joke. Okay. It's real. It's so real. It is so true. Okay. He's maybe the next. No, he's going to be the right-wing Obama. Okay. He's going to be the right-wing Obama. All right. First black Republican president, not going to be Tim Scott. Get out of here. No, it's going to be my black son. Okay. It's going to be my black son. That's what's going to happen. It's real. It's real. So true. So true. Okay. Vince just preparing to tell us that Chandler Crump is his son. No. That'll show him who's the real racist. It's so true. It's so. Okay, should I tell this story? Should I tell this story? This is I don't know if I want to tell this story. Which every time I say that, the whole chat like literally just like makes me cave on it. But oh gosh, we have the Coomer bot is back. So over, boys. And an error occurred. Really? Are we an error occurred? Okay. Is it that a moderator already banned them? Because that's good. Because like from my end, it's like not. Okay. No, I think it's just gone. Okay. Well, you know what? Why not tell this story? It's actually good optics from Vince Dow is such a racist. Okay. I'll tell the story. All right, all right, all right. Listen. Okay. This is true. I'm not making this up. All right. I don't know if I want to tell this story. Okay. I don't know if I want to tell this. All right, no, we gotta add to the lore of the channel. Just do it. Okay. All right. Not a joke, but I'm not making this up. I'm not like just trying to add on to the joke. Okay. My first kiss was a black girl. Okay. There. It's out. Okay. It was in 9th grade. Yeah, I had my first kiss in 9th grade. I guess that's kind of young. I know. I was degenerate. Okay. But like in 9th grade, yeah, it was a black girl. Now, ironically, here's what's funny about it too, is that neither of us were really political at the time. Okay. We're just two high school kids being high school kids. Okay. But it just so happened that I ended up, by 12th grade, I ended up being obviously the conservative kid, the big conservative influencer, the guy who was doing all this and that. She was like the Black Lives Matter girl, which is just funny. I just found that very funny because like she was all about that. Our school did like this panel, which wasn't really it was just a panel of like-minded BLM kids just saying all the same stuff. And like she was one of the activists on the panel. She was like the big BLM activist at our school. I ended up being the big conservative kid at the school. But it's very funny. It is very funny the divergence from that point. But yeah, in ninth grade, my first kiss was a black girl, which is to say, I am like the least racist person on the planet. Like it's actually true. Okay. It's literally the case. All right. What is so racist about Vince Dow? I don't understand. I mean, can the journalist answer this question? First kiss was a black girl. Loves black people that much. Okay. Wants to adopt a black son. One of my political best friends is Chandler Crump. Like, what else can we do, folks? What else can we do? I mean, I you know, but it's not about that. It's not about that. It's just it's out of a sincere sense of just, you know, just literally not being racist. I mean, it's literally the case. It's literally the case. You know? So true. So true. The salty girl calling us bigots earlier was Vince's first kiss. Could be possible. I don't know. Now you are really dark, Mac. It's so true. It's so true. She's mad she couldn't keep him. Unironically the case. Yeah. This was like, yeah, it's like degenerate for me to like kiss a girl with like literally no intent of dating or anything, but like, yeah, she wanted that and I did not want that. And so I kind of fulfilled the white boy summer challenge in 9th grade because I kind of ghosted her after that. But you know, it's true. It's true. That's actually a true part of the story too. I didn't want her because I started to realize she was like, I don't know. I kind of thought she was annoying. And so I started like ghosting her and yeah, that's why. And then we just didn't talk for a while. And then come 12th grade, what do you know? I'm the conservative kid. She's the BLM girl. It's true. That's how it happened. Vince wants to make some Kyler Murrays. No. But like, no, that's a true story. Okay, that's a true story. You know, that was before I was even political. That was before I even had anything going on with this stuff. That was who I was. It's very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff, folks. Okay. So Vince secretly has a crush on Candace Owens. So not true. Okay. This is gonna be a joke in the community now. I didn't want. I was like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Can't call us racist now. They really can't. They really can't. You know, gets unironically put on Blexit panel. I will say Blexit has a lot of cool people at it. Like they actually, especially like on the social conservatism stuff, like they would be resharing it and platforming it and all that. I was like, yo, that's epic. That's epic. It's true. It's true. They want to divide us. I get along. I get along with those people. I really do. They love me. I love them. It's real. It's real. You know? So true. It's literally so true. So. No, guys, Vincent must have an Indian wife. Chat's law. Oh, gosh. You know, I do have to say, like, hitting my car is like a cheesy start to a romance, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to, as much as you guys want it to happen. What a story that would be. Dumb woman hits my car with a freaking Jeep, and I'm like, what the heck? And she's like, it's literally in that song. It's literally like that one Tim McGraw song where it's like, he got lost in her eyes, and she got lost in his. No. You hit, no. Stop it. Shut it down. We're going to shut it down, okay? Not going to happen. No such cases. It's just not happening, okay? Real life is not a 2000s comedy film. It's so true. You know? And, you know, women in general are not good drivers, but to screw up that bad, it does say something about your degree of like just impulse control, even for a woman. And it's just like, you know. Oh, that one girl, yeah, the one girl, Lindsay Bailiff, that one woman that David Carlson debated over whether we should allow gay people into the movement. It turned into a therapy session instead. I do have to say that girl seems, she doesn't really seem like a aggressive girl boss so much as she just seems a little bit lost. And like, I'm not saying it has to be David, or it's definitely not going to be me, but like someone. I feel like with her, she just needs like a strong, responsible dude to like lead her is all it is, you know. That's all she needs. But you know, she doesn't come across to me as like lost, which no one is lost. No one is truly lost until the grave, because Christ is a thing. Okay. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like she seems like her heart actually is kind of in the right place, but that's all she's really missing. You know, that's all she's really missing is like the leadership in her life. Noah says, I will literally squash your car with my lifted XJ. Okay. How are you going to catch me? My car is probably faster than your little XJ. Okay. I'm going to be like the Dukes of Hazzard. It's real. All right. You're going to be chasing me. The law is on my tail. Noah Boyd's on my tail. We're going to go over a dumpster on a ramp. Yeehaw! Real. So true. You can't. You're too slow for my General Lee, buddy. Too slow. Hey, Vince, should we be nice or rude to liberals? It really depends on the context. It depends on the situation. Vince's car has insane mileage. So, oh yeah, gas mileage. Yeah, that is true. It's not a hybrid, but it does get pretty good mileage. It's not a hybrid. It's not like a gay-looking little like compact thing. I'm not gonna dox what type of be getting no audio. My mic just died. Hold on. I gotta switch out the battery. They're gonna say 714. I knew it. I knew it. Gosh. 6-2. It's real. Get it out now. Okay, have your fun. I'm gonna switch the battery out. Gosh. It's real. I do a stream about gays, right? I do a stream about LGBT, and then I start talking about my black son, okay? And what happens? This happens, right? This is what happens. And we say it all the time, and the sabotage of VinceDao is real. They fear this. They truly do. Okay, is the audio good or is it like bad? Well, I'm gonna judge by chat's reaction if the mic is working. Let's see. Let me know if the audio is good. I might have to like turn the receiver off and turn it back on. It does that sometimes. Let's see. Well, the chat's not loading, and that's not helpful. It's fine. We're good. Okay, good. Very epic. We're so back. They tried to stop us. No, we are doing a 7/14 anniversary. Let me see what day of the week it is. Hopefully, I'm not like busy, but more likely than not, that will absolutely happen. Let's see. It's on a Thursday. It is probably close to like the event we probably want to do at SAS, but no, we're gonna do it. We have to stream on 7/14. We can't not do that. Okay. We can't not. Vince, I need to work tomorrow. Well, we're ending soon. All right? Midnight. It's the tradition. We end around midnight. So do a whole live on 7/14/2022 with no audio intentionally. I should do like a video that's just like Kanye West levels of just like mysterious. Like, you know what I mean? Where I just get up there and I'm just like, I just like stare at the screen, or it's like totally random. I mean, I'll figure it out, but just like the weirdest, creepiest video ever. I should do that. That'll be the 7/14 special. So Vince, how are the hurricanes there this time of year? Michigan doesn't have cold winters anymore. Well, we haven't really gotten one yet, so I can't say. It will be my first hurricane season. I've never been through a real hurricane season, honestly. Yeah. Just wear an oversized leather jacket, blast Kanye music. That will be the 7/14 special. Real. We're going to do that. Mr. Charles says, what's your opinion on C.S. Lewis? I honestly haven't really read anything he ever wrote, but from my understanding, he's quite based. I know Mere Christianity is a recommendation of a lot of people. I have the book. I've never read it. I don't know. It's just not, it's like not how I was exposed, I guess you could say, to apologetics and the basic tenets of our faith. But I hear it's a good resource for a lot of people. So, from what I've heard, good stuff all around. So, I have a Civil War battlefield not far from where I live. That's based. That's epic. Have you ever been to a Civil War battlefield? Yes. I'm trying. Have I been to Gettysburg? No, I don't think I've been to Gettysburg, but I have been to a few, like, kind of around the DMV area. So I've been to Pearl Harbor though. That's a very good experience. It really is. So, Vince, have you seen What Is a Woman? No, I have not seen that. I don't know. Is that worth seeing? I mean, I like Matt Walsh. I like him a lot actually, but I don't know. I don't know if that's like I feel like it's not worth watching because it's just like yeah, I know what a woman is. I know that people are stupid and don't get it. I understand what audience that appeals to. I do. I really do. Like I'm not saying there's no, like it's just a useless movie. Of course it's not. But it's just like is that really worth our time to watch? Like we know that libtards can't answer the question. We know they're dumb. We know they don't know what a woman is, and we know it's stupid that they don't know what a woman is. I don't know. Is it worth watching that? I don't know. Can someone who has seen it say that, like, make that kind of call there? Because I don't know. Vince did Vietnam. I did Watergate. It was me. It was me. Hey, I did it because I was trying to help. All right, I was trying to help Richard Nixon. Okay, I was trying to help our guy. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I was clumsy with it. It's real, but I did Watergate. Vince doubted Watergate. This is factual. Is conservatives defending women's sports a conservatives are progressives driving at the are progressives going the speed limit moment? You know, I think here's the thing is that I think I almost have somewhat of like a middle ground take on this question because on one hand, I see a lot of like paleocons where they're just like, bro, it's a good thing that men are taking over women's sports. Like that's based, you know what I mean? But it's like it's not that I care about women's sports, but it is to an extent like honestly thinking I'm probably gonna have a daughter one day. And it's just like, yeah, it does actually kind of matter to me that like that won't happen when I mean I don't plan to have her playing football or anything, but like when she plays like, I don't know, volleyball or whatever athletics she does, like, yeah, that kind of matters to me. And honestly, it's kind of I feel like it's kind of stupid to go out here and give the whole like women's sports don't like yeah women's sports don't matter on a professional level, but like consider this too, we're trying to I mean like ultimately who we want to reach the most is not necessarily zoomers. Like we want to reach like middle-aged to older people. Okay, these are people with kids, many of them have daughters, many of their daughters are in sports. Like totally alienating them or pretending like the issue doesn't matter at all, like that's just not the right take. Okay, like yes, it is a hill we should die on. The problem is now on the other side, it should not be the only hill we die on, right? It does say a lot that like the only like you know obviously I now my criticism of it from our perspective is not that like we shouldn't care about the issue because I you know we should honestly, but my criticism of it really is that you know it shouldn't have to get to the woman to the sports thing, right? And kind of that's the fundamental flaw is that like if the only problem with the whole issue is sports, then you're and here's really my real problem with it. If the only issue is sports, then what you're basically saying is that the only difference between the genders is like essentially physical, right? That's the only difference between a man and a woman is that men have more testosterone than women. And I, as a Christian and as like a real conservative, I don't believe that at all. And that's the only. I believe that there is an emotional, a psychological, a social, and a spiritual difference between men and women. The Bible affirms that. I believe that. I believe that is also observable in just the way, from a secular perspective, that is observable in the way men and women interact and the way society interacts. And my problem with boiling it down to the only problem with all this stuff is sports is that the premise that operates on is the idea that well everything else is fine, like men and women are totally the same, there's no difference between them besides simply that which is outwardly physical. And I think that is wrong. I don't think that's conservative. I don't think that's true. And that is my problem with women's sports being basically the only thing that conservatives are willing to defend on the issue. At the same time, am I really to say that I think it is smart politically to, like, you know, give this whole like contrarian take of based men taking over women's sports? Like, I don't care about women's sports. It's like, yeah, we don't care about the WNBA. That's true. We don't care about professional women's sports. But there are a lot of people with daughters in high school and middle school who are affected by this stuff. Quite frankly, Mr. Based Paleocon, that's probably going to be you one day. I mean, you can talk all you want about how I'm only going to have sons. That's probably going to be you one day. And it's like, I mean, I do think it matters. I do think it is something that conservatives should defend. I just don't think that it's the only thing we should defend. And my problem, again, with dying on that hill is that, again, it presumes that the only difference between man and woman is hormonal in terms of like muscle mass. And that's just so not true. That's so not true, you know? So Michael Knowles has that take. Well, common Michael Knowles W, common Michael Knowles W, base take. And the true take, the so true take. You know, the Coomer bot is back. Why does he keep coming? It's probably a dude. It's probably a dude. I was going to say she, but it's a dude. Let's be honest. It's literally a dude. Vince, have you met any feds in real life? Not that I know of, but probably. Like, you know, I have met some people before that are just like weird, especially at like rallies and stuff, and they basically fed post. Like, it's very interesting. But I've not knowingly ever met a fed. I will say that. I have met people that I have suspected of being feds. I was in DC on the 6th. People know that. You know, I did not participate in illegal activity, but so, you know, you might have encountered a few if we're being realistic, but not that I know of. Not that I know of. Actually, IRL. Okay, that's why. Yeah, then probably I don't know. I have seen many obvious feds on the internet, but bro, we read wild at heart. Maybe, perhaps. So. I saw he says fan drive by slowly on my dirt road, and then it stopped for some reason, and I proceeded to think that it was a. Oh wow, wow, Jonathan, what are you doing? What are you doing up? What are you doing in your little compound? Uh-huh. You making moonshine there, buddy? You making you putting together illegal firearms there, buddy? Yeah. You're posting on the internet about 1776. What's going on there, Jonathan? What are you doing? What are you up to? Very interesting. Very interesting stuff. Big numbers. Is going to SAS even worth it? APU is probably going to do an event there. So yes. True. Correct take. Trump is going to be there too. So should be a good event, I think, on their part. Vince, go to Ohio and eat at Hog Heaven. Yeah, you know what? Let me just go to Ohio and eat at a restaurant, okay? I'll keep that on my list. No, you should have. I was in Ohio like the last month. You should have told me this then. I will probably be back in Ohio though. The Turning Point chapter at like Youngstown State wanted to invite me there, so I may be back. I think there's other schools in Ohio. I don't know. But is it in that part of Ohio? Because if not, I don't know what the deal is there. But this guy's character. Vince, just go to Ohio and eat at a restaurant. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that opinion in the back of my head. Let me just. You might have seen it in Canton when you did your alliance speech. Okay, if it's in Canton, okay, all right. What's it called? Hog Heaven. All right. I actually have a list of restaurant places, so I'll put that down. Canton, Ohio. Hog Heaven. Okay. I don't know if it's really heaven for hogs, but it's kind of the opposite, I feel like, but so that's an ironic name. Operation Eliminate Ohio will work. No. Can I be honest? The anti-Ohio psyoping is like a liberal. It's like liberal nonsense. If we can be realistic for a second, yeah, is Ohio boring? Yes. Is there not a lot to do? Yes. But can we also take a moment and there's nothing to do in Vermont for freak's sake. There's nothing to do in New Mexico. Why did they target Ohio? They target Ohio because Ohio is like the spirit, like I said in my speech, is like the spiritual birthplace of the movement of Donald Trump. They target it because the people who live there are pretty based on large. It's like the home of the middle American radicals, like as Sam Francis, talks about and stuff like that. It's like the home of like the Trump, not just the Republican voter, but like the Trump voter. Okay. It is the forgotten, it is the place that the American regime forgot. It is where the forgotten men and women of America dwell. It's like the anti-Ohio psyoping. It's like it has to stop. Okay. It really has to stop. As no one ever talks about like eliminating Washington or Oregon, or I know California and New York, everyone's like, get rid of those, or like, I don't know, Maine or like Virginia, you know what I mean? Or Delaware or New Jersey. But then it's always like Ohio. It's like, oh, Ohio, the place where the most conservative populist white people en masse live. That's the place that culturally we're all going to make fun of. You see what's going on there? You see what's being planted in your head? It's so true. It's literally the case, okay? I'm no Ohio apologist here, but you got to recognize what's going on there. And what's frankly going on there is a very deliberate slander against like the Trump's people, you know what I mean? It's true. It's so true. Yeah, like eliminate. No one ever talks about eliminating Maryland, which I think there's a strong case to be made there. No, it's like eliminate Ohio. Yeah, let's eliminate the state that like is basically in many ways spiritually carrying our movement right now. So true. Exactly. New Jersey. No one ever talks about eliminating New Jersey. Good morning. It's so true. It is now midnight. We will end the stream soon. But Vince Dow, Ohio apologist. You know what? Is this a bad thing? Huh? Yes. I defend Middle America, even though I am not a resident of Middle America. It's so true. The brother wars, we got to stop, okay? The Midwestern Southern Alliance against the coastal libtard menace, okay? It's happening. It's real, and we're not going to tolerate this, okay? No more making fun of Ohio, all right? We're going to unite. It's so true. J.D. Vance, Doug Mastriano, it's in Pennsylvania. It's so real. Like this, the brother wars have to stop. Again, the coastal libtard menace. Okay? Remember that. What a word. What a word. It's so true. We must unite. Unity against the coastal libtard menace. Real. So real. I've never been to New Hampshire. So eliminate Hawaii. Yeah, Ohio does have a lot of Hawaii does have a lot of natural beauty, but I don't know if you have to eliminate Hawaii. Just move all the libtards out of there. Send them to Alaska. That's what we should do. We should trade, okay? Actually, I don't. Do we want to give Alaska to the libtards? Because I feel like Alaska still does have a lot of natural beauty to itself too. So I don't know. Where do you send all the Hawaii libtards? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. But you send them somewhere. I don't know. Just send them. Just have them. Send them to the ocean or something. Who cares? Like, and we will move in. The conservatives will colonize the great state of Hawaii. It's real. So true. Yeah, Guam. We'll send them to Guam. There you go. We will send the libtards to Guam. Get them out of here. And we can colonize Hawaii that way. My mom is calling. Should I answer on stream? I feel like that'd be funny. All right, hold on. Anyway, I'm on stream right now. Do you want to talk to my viewers? What? Do you want to talk to my viewers? No, not really, because I was going to complain about how I had to break up 2 fights. Okay. And complain about that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Love you too. Bye. She didn't want to do it. She didn't want. I feel like that would have been so. That would have been so Kino, but we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. All right. I wanted to. I had to ask her permission first. You know, she didn't want to do it. That would have been pretty. That would have been pretty base. It would have been pretty base. She didn't want to. Hawaii is the final. This is true. It is the final triumph of Manifest Destiny. 100%. Move them to Kansas. Yeah. Man, you know, I feel like that's a state that conservatives would willingly give up in exchange for Hawaii. Is anyone really proud to be from Kansas? Because I was gonna say like Wyoming or Montana, but there's just too much natural beauty there, and people are proud to be from there, you know. But like Kansas, Nebraska, we could trade those with the libtards. We'll for Hawaii. I feel like that's reasonable. You know? Like, what are we giving up really except a bunch of cornfields? I feel like that's a reasonable trade-off. I feel like it is. Oh yeah, we'll send them to Afghanistan. So true. So true. Mama Dow didn't want to talk about her adopted black grandson. Real. Not ready for that conversation. So. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's like 10 a.m. I'll let you guys go to sleep. I know people are like, I got to work tomorrow, but I want to be a loyal viewer. Look, no one's making you, right? It's not a cult. This is not a cult. I do not demand. I appreciate your viewership. I do not demand it. I do not demand your loyalty. Okay, it is something that is earned. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. But yeah, all right. I actually don't have my prayer journal. It's in the car. So, I will just say, all right. Have a very good night. Have a very good weekend. May the Lord bless you. In all that you do, and may you seek to glorify his name in all that you do. It's so true. And thank you very much for watching. Be sure to leave a like on the stream before you go. Alpha moves only. God bless. Peace.
In leaving it, I do so with this prayer. May God's grace be with you in all the days ahead.
He is a globalist, and we are nationalists. He believes in some Pax Universalis. We believe in the old republic. He would put America's wealth and power at the service of some vague new world order. We will put America first. So today we call for a new patriotism, where Americans begin to put the needs of Americans first. for a new nationalism, where in every negotiation, be it arms control or trade, the American side seeks advantage and victory for the United States. And the people of this country need to recapture our capital city of Washington from lobbyists and registered agents of foreign powers who are hired to look out for everybody and everything except the national interest of the United States. And our Western heritage is going to be handed down to future generations and not dumped onto some landfill called multiculturalism.
My black son, he's coming to stay. My black son, he's making each day the best that he can. So true. It's literally so true. Me, real.